Good evening at 6:30, Thursday, April 17th, 2025. We now call to order the Historic Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency. Mrs. King, would you please do a roll call?
Yes, Director Williams. First. Director Crick. Present. Director Mack. Here. Director Randolph. Here. Director Daniels. Vice Chair Washington. Present. Chair Gardner.
Here, please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now ready for the first presentation, March 2025 financial statement presentation.
Good evening, board. As you can see, this is the bank balance financials for March. I know the board wants to hear what's the bank balance as of today. Mrs. Bradshaw is getting that for me, so I can make sure you have it. This is just tracking our expenditures for the month of March. If you have any questions, I'm prepared to answer.
Yeah,
Yes,
board
ma'am.
member Randolph.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Johnson, I would like to know, if all possible, the amount for the 119 West Street property. Is that was purchased, when was that, in February or March?
Mark,
Okay, where is it on the expenditure columns?
if you look on actually, it's not shown in this presentation.
We would like to know what those figures are, so we can.
That's why I haven't scratched out grabbing the bank balance. That reflects that transaction.
And as well as all the other costs that was associated with that, like
Yes.
the Tyler search and
Yes.
appraisal and all of that.
You'll see that in the PowerPoint presentation and
Which PowerPoint
that's gonna be coming up next.
coming up now?
Coming up next after this.
Oh,
Any other questions?
Yes, I had an issue with not having this in a timely manner. I understand that the printer was down, but I asked for this at the end of February, or maybe it was April. I asked for this and it said it was going to be produced at this meeting because I needed time to go over this and ask those particular questions. Where in the line item was the purchase of property going to come from. I just was waiting to see or with Bradshaw bringing her information to show us where it's coming from.
It came out of the general fund of the CRA trust account.
I'm gonna ask that this particular item be tabled until I can, because I need more time. I need more time to figure this out. Everything for me, that's just for me.
yeah, and if you could email it to us, that would certainly appreciate that.
That's no problem.
Yeah, okay, with the corrections.
Yes.
And then if all possible, if we can have this as a part of our package.
There was a problem
With
with
the
it.
package.
There was a problem with the printers,
Yeah,
and that's why it was not.
okay.
I disagree, Executive Director, because when I asked, we can look at it, when I asked, you said you were gonna present it in, but you had it. Then when I asked, you didn't have it, this right here?
I just got this today.
No.
Right.
So the numbers, you wouldn't have these numbers before when I asked, could I get the
What you're looking
financials?
at today is what was.
Any other questions? All right, so just to clarify, you're asking for the consent item number 3 to be tabled?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else to be said about financials? All right, we'll move on to number 2, PowerPoint for 119 Southwest Street.
Once again, board, good evening. Um. So we conducted the purchase of 119. With the idea of redeveloping that site, because it's 7 4 buildable lots. And this presentation is gonna be basically a dissertation of that and going through what we're proposing. That is our mission statement. That's on the website for anybody to read, see. I just thought it's very important that people can see that our mission is to aggressively pursue redevelopment, revitalization activities within the CRA district with emphasis on providing more housing, market rate, and affordable cultural arts opportunities, improving long-term transportation needs, encouraging retail development, include mixed-use projects. You also see the vision statement, which is to create and sustain viable community where citizens, stakeholders, visitors can live, work, and play, while enhancing the town's tax base and eliminating slum and blighted areas, addressing affordable housing, stimulating economic development activities while being a catalyst for public-private investment. This page here is just the executive summary. Once again, the town of Eatonville, we're embarking on an aggressive approach, seeking opportunities which allow for increased affordable housing within the CRA district by acquiring properties and leverage resources to address the deficiencies related to affordable housing. Plan focuses on producing affordable housing units and homeownership options and implementing strategies to preserve existing affordable housing. We will seek to establish partnerships with the landowners, code enforcement, the government agency, trying to bring down costs to make homeownership achievable in the town of Eatonville. This section is covered in the CRA plan of the 1997 plan and the goal 4, create attractive and viable sets of places, addresses housing. These are the existing conditions of what the property looks like today. We have conducted a new replat of this property. Those lots are going to be somewhere between 51 and 52 by 100 each. These are just some housing statistics for the board to look at and take into account in their deliberations. In 2023, 35.2% of the housing units in Eatonville, Florida were occupied by their owners. I'm gonna say that number again because we need to think about it. 35.2. That means the other 64%, 64.8 rentals. That is not a good dynamics for the town. We need to be creating homeownership opportunities to reverse that. Renters don't pay tax. So we need to really think about how we're approaching housing as a whole, not just in affordable, but in their attainable housing that we're doing. Right now, Eatonville is considered here in the seller's market, which prices generally are higher, homes selling faster than in buyer's market. Average home value in Eatonville is $245,444, showing a slight increase over the past year. That information is contained from Zillow. The cooling market, Eatonville is a seller's market, the broader Florida market is cool. The prices potentially falling and more inventory at low. That's important for Yahoo Finance. Affordable housing, we do have plans to address affordable housing here in Eatonville. So we're working that through, and Spectrum News 13 did a report on affordable housing about Eatonville. You can click on that link and watch that video. High interest rates, mortgage rates are currently at 6.6%, which is contributing to a higher average tax payment. That's on bank rate. This answer some of your questions, Mrs. Randolph. We talk about the 119 property. We paid after closing costs $342,278. We're anticipating the demolition of the existing structure to run about $20,000. And you see that in the bid package that's already in your package. The title work, the pre-offer rate share was only $150 of all the pre-title work we've done in that area. Okay? So that gives us a total of $362,420 of investment. This is an example of the model home that we're talking about developing. It's 1,344 square feet. Living space, a total of 1,822. That's including the garage and the porches, stuff like that. The garage accounts for 400 of that difference. So there's an additional 56 square feet outside of the garage. Anybody have any questions on that?
What would you say the square footage for the house is? How much?
The living space is 1,342. It's right in line with the average between 1,100 and 1,300.
So what's the max? This is affordable homes, correct?
Right.
So what's the max on affordable homes?
The average is somewhere between 1,100 and 1,300. In Holden Heights, they're building homes out garages, and there's some 300 and some thousand without garages. Any additional questions on the elevation? Yes, this is Frank.
I see, your construction cost assumption and the, comparison of the 4 lots.
I haven't got to that slide yet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me just go through some known assumptions, right? Zoning. As you see, there was one unit there, the lot size, even though it's set on 2 lots, each lot was 44 by 100. So you had one house sitting on an 88 by 100 foot lot combined. Zone R2. We're proposing 4 units. The lot width is in some cases 51 to 52 feet wide, which is in what the code requires. And that if it never changes, it's still 100 feet. The zoning, we're not asking any zoning changes and keeping it at R2. As you can see on the bottom, that is what the code requires, R2, 50 feet. Minimum lot area of 5,000, which we meet. The front setback is 25 feet, the rear setback 20. The minimum side for both sides is 15. One side could be 5 at a minimum. The other side will require being 10, but we're doing 7.5, so we're good. If we were on the corner, the 15-foot setback would be required. You allow 40% lot coverage with all impervious space. The max height is 35 feet. You don't have to address that. There's no house that's 35 feet. These are the redevelopment assumptions. This talks about our total investment, which is that number 368,278. There's some pre-development costs that has to be taken care of outside of doing the demo. And that's getting the lots replatted. And getting the surveys and legal descriptions for each lot. And the lot clearing is gonna be part of that. To prepare the pads for the construction. What you have is an average 4 units. Cost per unit for demo is 5,000. Pre-development per unit is 1,500, which is 6,500 total for all 4 units. We break out the per unit costs. We're gonna end up per unit for 569.50. The unit cost of 5,000 is 1,500, with your total investment cost per lot, new lot, 92.69. This is great.
Yeah, my question. I skipped the page.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions?
So, one more thing. Okay, so the total cost of the home be 92 grand? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's how much you got in the dirt, once we're done doing the demo. And preparing.
The investment for that project.
Right, and you take that 368 roughly and divide it, that tells you you're doing 4 units. You put divide 4 to that, and it should get the 92.69, somewhere close to it. Yes. I'm sorry. All right, so, these are impact fee assumptions. This comes straight from the building department. This is not something that is guessed about. These numbers come directly from the building department. As you can see, impact fees run about 16,895 per unit that's being built. Anything that's less than 2,000 square feet. So we fall in that category, so that's 16,895. We're gonna do 4 units, so 4 times that amount, the impact fees will be 67,580. Because we get an impact fee credit for 1 unit, that 16,895 will be reduced. So our effective impact fee cost to build 4 houses is gonna be 50,685. Are there any questions to that? Next slide. We skip out. We are changing. That's it. All right, these go back. This is just a snapshot of based upon the total square footage and kind of giving you an idea roughly what the per square footage charge is and what's the range if we go 1,600 square feet. As you see, I've taken a look at the Danish model after our former mayors to kind of add a little twist to it. So any questions on this? Yeah. Sorry about how that slide is showing, but this information here comes directly from Orange County Consolidated Plan that talks about their goals in Orange County to address affordable housing through the Housing for All program that they have set up. We're looking to build 4 units, average cost. That 285 is pretty high, but I wanted to be on the high side to give us room to fall back to as we do the development. The total estimated sales price is $377.69. I know that it's higher than what the max sales price is, and if you look at the last block, it talks about a $32,069. That's going to be credited to the end user buyers, keeping sure we stay at 345 and meet Orange County requirements. Next. These are our partners. Of course, the town. We can't do any of this without the town. The CRA, Orange County Housing and Community Development Department. We're working with Division Director, Mr. Glasser, on some opportunities to affordable housing. Orange County provides, of course, affordable housing. We're working with Help CDC, who's going to be doing all the home buying counseling and and all of that, and we're working on some of the options that they bring to the table. We're just not ready to talk about that at this time. And of course, all funding that everybody gets for CDBG, housing and all that stuff comes from. So I'm listing that's one of our. Anybody have any questions?
I just. I just had, one, and I keep saying this, the possibility of it all going into a land trust. Because if someone purchases and then sells or moves, we're still back into the rental position. But if it was in a land trust, if they decided not to occupy it as their homestead, then we might have options there. Or if they decide to sell it, then we have options.
One of the reasons I'm being quite honest with the board, I haven't toured land trust, and what I've seen used in Winter Park, I'm not a fan. But I understand what the question.
Question to piggyback off of, Chair Gardner. If we do a land trust, does that in any way affect the affordable housing requirements or, eligibility?
I think it would make it easier
Okay.
because they wouldn't have to deal with the land.
Dealing with just the value of the dwelling. Okay.
But keep in mind, that 92,069, that's your investment. So when you're talking about taking your 92,69, sticking in the land trust, that does not come back to the agency to use to do more projects. So keep that in mind. We're trying to create more home ownership and change that number from 35.4 or whatever. We're trying to raise that number up as much as we can.
I have an additional question. It's about, and it might be preliminary, I know y'all are gonna have more conversations, but like with Help CDC, who offers the home buyers courses and the down payment assistance, does our partnership with them, is that where those subsidies are coming from that you mentioned on a previous slide, those roughly 30,000, is that where?
We're working on several additional things that I really don't want to talk about, right?
That's fine. It might have been preliminary. I was
Right.
going it out.
Mhm.
Thank you.
We're trying to bring down house to affordability as much as we can. In that answer.
So what are we looking at for the total investment? The total investment. You gave us the 92,000. So what's the total investment that we're going to be investing on building 4 homes?
That 368 number is what your investment,
The total investment.
that's your total investment after we address the demolition. That's your total investment, and that averages down to your 92,069.
So it has to be more than that. But you paid already 300 and some odd $1,000 for property. Now, what's the investment as far as building 4 homes? That's what I mean.
So you want to know the construction.
Yes,
vertical.
yeah, the whole picture. We need to get the whole picture.
I understand, and if you read in the resolution, on the last whereas. Once I'm finished with Richard Glasser in Orange County, and we're going to help CDC through other meetings, those meetings come back to you. I'm trying to get it to where we're not spending the council. But I can't tell you that for sure yet.
We wouldn't know that until we finalize like a site plan and all of that. No,
All of that will come back to you. It's just not ready for us to talk about it.
Any other questions? Thank you. Citizen participation.
Yes, the first one is David Baran.
Yes, good evening. I would just like to get an opportunity to speak for my opinion on financial.
Speak twice. You will speak twice. Okay.
No, it's just it would be more time appropriate because there is a good amount of information that would link right into that. But let me speak now, okay? So
Ask the question.
Should I talk now?
You want to spend 3 minutes or you want us to address your issue?
No, 6, I was thinking.
Do you want to spend your 3 minutes now? Or do you want to address your issue when your agenda item comes up?
Yes, that's what I was
So you're gonna
asking
take
for
3 minutes to
permission.
do that, or you want more, you get more time if you address
We
the
had
agenda
you
item?
to speak when your agenda item came up.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Basically, I was asking you to make sure that I get a chance to talk.
Oh, yeah, I got it out.
Number 10, yes.
Appreciate you.
Okay, the next person is Angela Thomas.
Angela Thomas, Eatonville, Florida. I want to address the comment that Mr. Johnson made to you about the land trust. That it will be an investment for the CRA if it's a land trust, because the funding will go back to the CRA only because the homes can never be sold for a profit. It always has to stay affordable to the next buyer. So if the person want to sell it, they cannot sell it for a profit. If it is, it's only a minimal. So it still will be an advantage for the CRA. So it all depends on you trying to make the homes a profit. Or you trying to make it affordable to the people? And if the CRA, as Director Gardner is saying, if you're trying to keep it affordable to the people, then it will be a good thing for it to be in a land trust, because the homes can never be sold for a profit. They will always have to stay affordable to the next buyer.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want you to know, I had no idea she's not asking me about land trust, and I have not done any research on land trust to come to that assumption. So,
Okay, the next and last one is Joyce Arden.
Good evening. I just have a question about something I saw on the list. It's like portable stage and shell. Yeah, I might not be correct, but I think I've seen some of Miss Money's plans. I know she went and got at least more than half the money she was trying to get. She said she's going back on the 20th. But that would include some type of area that would have something similar to like an amphitheater. And that would, we would have to have a stage with that. So I was trying to figure out why we would be trying to purchase a stage now without even giving her a chance to see what she can do with her 1-2 punch, but use money to do it. That's it.
We have.
With there being no more citizen participations, I'm gonna loop back. Is there information you want to give? This way, wait.
I
Oh,
thought we agreed to take it, so we'll bring that.
which is my next.
And they'll have all the information. And then,
All right, so resolution CRA R 2025-17 has been requested to be tabled. Is everyone okay with that?
But also has another lot. So for the move to avoid decision.
So the request is 3 to table, 5 to be removed to move to a board decision. Is there a motion for those two? Is it moving second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So the only thing left on the consent agenda is approval of March 2025 minutes. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, minutes have been approved. Now we go to resolution CR. No, sorry, that's been tabled. My apologies. Approval of resolution CRA R 2025-4, approving the CRA bylaws. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say no question.
Question. Okay, yes, I appreciate the bylaws being, we've been dealing with this for quite a while. I reviewed all the bylaws. It's just a couple of things on here that I felt might need some clarification. And that is, 2.6 on the CRA documents. And I guess this will probably be to the attorney. Where it says that the CRA, Tom Beaton, CRA principal office shall operate under the business hours from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday, except holidays. The executive director of the CRA may adjust hours as needed for special occasion and events or emergency. So what, I know what that means, but is this supposed to be for what reason? Is this pertaining to exempt or non-exempt? If the executive director, is he exempt or non-exempt employee?
With those notes.
Well, the executive director, okay, the executive director is an employee of the town.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the executive director can adjust the hours as needed. But what I'm saying here, because he is a director, does that go into adjustment of overtime hours or 40 hours a work week?
I'm not certain if that was contemplated for this particular item. I believe it was if there's a special occasion such as, and the director would have to answer this. Let's say if there was Juneteenth, and the CRA office wanted to close or adjust its hours so that the CRA director could attend or could attend. That's my understanding of being able to adjust the hours to attend events, or if let's say, for instance, if there's a hurricane, he's able to close the office and say the office is not operating this way. That's my understanding of it.
So your hours will stay the same, but you'll just be adjusting them throughout the week.
Those hours are the hours of operation for the organization. Just like 8 to 5. I adjusted staff hours today because they're in Johnson Center finishing up the Help CDC process. So they work according to that. So that's my purview to be able to change it.
This doesn't have
They
any.
can't just pick up and go home at 5 o'clock because I got them doing something.
Okay, but my question, yeah, okay, I understand the operation hours, but what I'm saying here, as an employee, your hours are set for what, 40 hours a week?
No.
No?
I'm a salaried employee. I work 100 hours if I have to.
Yeah, but you get paid for 40.
That's all.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, I don't get paid overtime.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I want to clarify that question. And then the other one was 44.4. Notice of meetings. I'm sorry, 4.4. Okay, that one says, Ernie, maybe you can answer this one. Written notice of any special meeting shall be mailed or delivered at least 2 days prior to such meetings unless notice of the meeting is waived in writing by all board members before and after the meeting. So what are we saying here? Just trying to get an understanding about what that means for a special meeting. So we're saying that we're giving a 2-day notice for a special meeting? Because 2 days is not enough time.
So special meetings, technically 72 hours of notice is needed for special meetings. So 2 days is technically outside of it because you need 72 hours in order to set a special meeting. But this is for the notice of any special meeting to be mailed or delivered at least 2 days prior to such meeting unless notice of the meeting is waived or written by all board members. So it's saying that, and this is directly from the Sunshine Man, that if there is a special meeting that you give notice within 2 days of that meeting by writing, either mailed or hand delivered, unless the board will waive notice for special meetings. I would not suggest to recommend it, but this says that the board can waive it. Because in essence, what happens is if you're sitting here together, you're going to set a special meeting and you may say, okay, the special meeting is set now. We don't have to send out this special notice here by writing or hand delivered.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Did you verify that change that was in the new the document.
But there also, when the board was discussing the purchase, amount that the CRA director was authorized to go up to, the board actually noted that it was $7,500. In the version that I completed and submitted to the board, it was still left at $2,000. So what I did was I went ahead and I made that adjustment based on the board's discussion, during the meeting to make it to $7,500 as opposed to $2,000. And it looks as if, Ms. King did provide that to the board, with this email and the adjustment. And that was the only change. That happened.
I'm fine.
I'm sorry.
Please.
Right, Director.
Just in response to Director Randolph's comment, I'm glad that they brought that up because that allows 3.4 to line up with 5.2, which says that we're gonna follow the town procurement policy, which is at $75.
Director.
Yes, and since we have the secretary being, part of Ms. King and, of course, legal always communicates with each other. I would like to have the town's financial director not to be involved, but have access to, because she's our town's fiscal finance director over the town. So, right at 3.6. I think the town's fiscal director, financial director, I'm sorry, should be able to look, not be involved, but look at the books and make sure everything is cool.
She does all that.
I'm just making sure I see it's lined out, so. I'm just letting the board know at this particular time that our financial director of the historic town of Eatonville can go over and look at the books and just not write any checks or anything, but just make sure everything is good. If we ask them to. Okay, I got it. I just see it's marked out here.
I have a concern about that also. I'm glad that you brought that up, Councilman Daniels. The finance director for the town is actually the head person when it comes down to finances. I say for the town.
Right.
Okay. Now, even though I know we have a finance coordinator or whatever for the CRA, I respect that. But I think at some point, something in order to protect the protection and the security, the finance director, if needed be, should have, not to go in and change anything, but to have access to be able to access our account.
Okay, which means access level.
So let me just, I know in the CRA meeting, but honestly, the CRA director, and I've said this before, she needs to be relieved as much as possible from any of these duties. Because with all the grants coming up that we have going on, she really needs to step away as much as possible. We are having the financial reports. You can ask questions. You can sit with the fiscal coordinator to be comfortable with anything going on. But on the town side, as administrator, unless she is needed and the board does an interlocal agreement and needs her assistance, I'm not, that's not something I'm gonna have her do. Because there are enough eyes here that you can sit down and go over anything you want with those folks.
Also understand you have an interlocal agreement in place, so you don't have to make that request. That relationship is already working.
Okay, we're good. All right, that's fine.
I just think, I'm sorry. No, I would say more eyes the better. And like I said, the town financial director should be able to just go in and look. She's not too busy. We had her in the past taking bills, doing this and doing that. And I've always said you should focus on that, but the administration at whatever time had her doing different things. And I think Ms. Katrina is capable and able to just take a look if we ask her to.
Things are part of the agreement already.
Yes.
They're just she's like an oversight anyway. God, but she just can't do any activity in terms of money or anything like that. So that's oversight.
And no disrespect to our elected leaders, But when you're sitting up here, you're not sitting up here as town officials. You're sitting up here as the CRA Board of Directors. You're separate, independent, and distinct for your role as an elected official. So I get the oversight, but it's already been done. We have an audit. We already communicate daily. She's aware of everything. Your finance department pays all the bills, if she sees that stuff anyway. Right? So there's redundancy in the process that does not have to be duplicated.
Right, because it's self-explanatory, because it's already an interlocal agreement, we're not going away from the interlocal
Right.
agreement
Not at-
that's been implemented, so I don't understand.
I think for me, having more oversight is better, because right now, if I ask Ms. King for some records from the CRA, she won't be able to have access to them. She won't be able to get them. If there was an interlocal agreement, I should be able to go to her, and then she can go to your secretary and get minutes and everything, right, from previous CRA meetings, right?
Of course.
We should already have that.
It's already established.
I'm
It's already
asking.
happened.
Let her finish.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
please.
Because if I ask for, the documents from the communication of the CRA and let's say, Florida Main Street and Eatonville Main Street, you see what I'm saying? We don't have those because I asked you and you said you have no record of those.
Eatonville Main Street had nothing to do.
No. Well, the CRA gave Eatonville Main Street money.
And all that was turned in.
I got that.
Everything's already.
So when I asked for communication, those things, and that was in 2000, what? 2, I mean, so it's less than 5 years. You see what I'm saying? So those records
But I want you to
should be
understand.
accessible.
I want you to understand something. You're talking about a nonprofit communication with a state agency, and the relationship is between that nonprofit and the state agency. You're not entitled to any of that communication because it's not subject to the public records law. So
That's in the,
you have to get that from the state.
we're gonna stay right here in
Yeah,
CRA.
state program.
We're going to stay, let's stay right here in the CRA. We're just saying having oversight, and you have the director, you have our clerk being able to be over the secretary, getting minutes. All I'm asking for is our financial director as well, just to
I understand what
have
your
oversight
request
eyes over things without being hindered in any way. That's all I'm saying.
is. Just so you know, we're gonna be bringing to you the fiscal eye for the town and the CRA. I have not, my staff have not played any role in that. You know who's been overseeing that process? The finance director.
But I've kind of already made a statement on that.
So
She won't be pulled. The finance director for the town will not be pulled into the CRA unless there's no one in the CRA to do it. That's gonna be it.
You have someone put in finance policy already, right?
But I understand your concern. That's not something that we're gonna do.
Yeah, correct, so.
right.
Okay,
I'm done.
Director Daniels, let me finish.
And when it comes down to taxpayers' money, whether it's been given to a nonprofit or not, you have to still be accountable for it. I'm gonna put that on for the record. And we can move on for that.
All right, it has been moved. Joe? Here. Yes,
For clarity, are there any amendments that need to be done for the bylaw?
no, I think you're going to clarify.
What? The attorney. Really, okay. Want to make sure.
And Madam Chair, just real quick, just for the benefit of board member Randolph, with regards to the sunshine manual, as I was speaking about, it says that special meetings should have no less than 24 hours and preferably at least 72 hours reasonable notice to the public, so that that 2-day or 48-hour period is within the guidelines, and that's pursuant to, and I just like to make sure that everyone, that's pursuant to K. Charbonneau versus Young, which is found at 4062 Southern 2nd, 515, Florida, first DCA of 1985.
Thank you.
Yes.
So with that being said, the only thing I will say is make sure that on this approval, that we are looking at the bylaws that were updated with the change. All right. So it's been moved and seconded that the bylaws with the change have been approved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. All right, bylaws have been approved. All right, next item. Resolution CRA R 2025-18, approving the bid for demolition of 119 Southwest Street property. I believe there is a preview. Yes.
Resolution CRA-R 2025-18. A resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, COPRA, approving the recommended bid awarded for demolition of 119 Southwest Street property and providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Second with question.
It's been moved and seconded, Director.
Okay, with the demolition of this property right here, I know we had spoke about the affordable housing that we're gonna be actually building. I just want to make sure that, because I've heard a lot about the trust. So I think it probably would be in our best interest to probably entertain that versus not having the money go into the trust because of the idea of someone possibly trying to profit off it. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to sell the property for more money than what that we're building it for. And I didn't really build it for, but that is at stand for like 345, I'm guessing, somewhere up in that range. So I think it would be a great idea for us to possibly put these funds into a trust because it will come back to us essentially, right? Am I correct?
Well, to me, it's for protection, but it has, if they try to sell it, then the trust will have control over the pricing and making sure that it's not for a huge profit.
Right.
But in regards to the money and all that,
I think the trust issue is a separate issue that I would allow the attorney to research that and make a recommendation to us, because I have no knowledge of how the trust is work. So it'll be better suited if we can check that out and tell us what's the pros and cons and give us our.
And I've actually done MOUs along with Hampton Square when Camille Reynolds was there on land trust. And actually, when Chairman Cole was here, he actually, there was an issue that came up about land trust. So I do have some information on that, and we'll be prepared to present whenever Madam Chair of the board would like.
One more question also. I know it's 4 lots, right? That we're gonna be.
Yes.
Is that property with the whole property is 4 lots or is it?
Yes. Also in the resolution, if you pay attention, I did not recommend who the award is. I'm gonna let you see the bids, and as you can see, Bella 41 was the low bid. And I wanted, so you need to add that to your motion if you're gonna approve the low bid.
all right, Director.
Are we gonna add that?
I'm recommending Bella 40. They're the low bid.
So, did we do it in ranking or we just, the low bidder, that was it?
Each one of those gentlemen and
Right.
companies visit this site and get low bid.
Okay, so the one that you're recommending is the one that you want us to, pretty much put, up for approval,
Right.
basically.
Yes.
So I think we do need to add that in too, or we're gonna have the discretion.
If you look at the resolution and see where we can add, identify the award, awarding, I'm sorry.
There's been a recommendation. Cover.
You can put it in section 1.
In section.
I would just add it in section 1.
Yeah, why won't be in the,
It doesn't have to be where as far as section 1 that tells you what.
Right, in the meantime.
So it'll be section 1.
What else?
And attorney,
Well, we can write that in. I had a question about that. So can we come back to that? Can we circle back to that?
yes.
So we can finish.
Director Daniels, then Director Britton together.
Oh, just for a statement, I won't be supporting this because I didn't like how the whole thing went down. I didn't like it, and I voted against it before, and I don't like how the whole thing went down. So I'll just put that out for the record.
Okay, Director Britton.
I have a couple. They're mostly clerical for clarification. So in regards to Bella 41, have we done work with them? Okay. And that's what I was gonna ask, because I know the last time we had this conversation, we talked about preference of local vendors or vendors that have ties to the community, and that vendor the last time had a tie to the community, and they had the lowest bid, which is another reason that we were in favor of it. I don't have any objections to adding it to section 1. But in the 1, 2, 3, 6, whereas, it says the demolition of the property and the redevelopment. Should it just state the demolition since the redevelopment is in the next?
In the next resolution.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then in section 1, line 2, after affordable, is there a word?
Line, which one? I'm sorry.
The line that starts with affordable, right up underneath, it's housing and redevelopment opportunities which support the purpose of establishing more affordable.
What section, which where is she reading?
I'm in section 1 of approval.
Oh, section 1.
The third line,
I-
affordable within, things to be housing.
Affordable
Yes.
housing should be there.
Right,
Okay.
purpose of affordable housing.
I figured as much, just didn't want to make an assumption, and that's it. Thank you.
If I may state also before, moving forward.
Wait, I need
Oh,
to
I'm
go
sorry.
down
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Director,
yeah.
not correct you, Director Randall.
All right, thank you. Since this resolution is pertaining to, demolition, I have questions. Now, the home. You know, my practice is, for myself, and most, before you buy anything, you always want to take a look at what you're buying, what you're investing in. So, does the home really needs to be demolished?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, for what reason?
For the purpose of what your presentation was just talking.
Yeah, I understand, but is there
Yeah,
a
you
problem
can't do
with,
what I just presented to you without demolishing.
okay, I understand that's the plan. But the conditions of the home, does it state that it needs to be demolished? That's what I need to find out.
In order to accomplish what we set forth, you would have to demolish the home to get to that. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. I understand that in order to accomplish what you're presenting, it needs to be demolished. But my question is, the home in the condition that it's in, is this home is a home that needs to be demolished?
Any home could be rehabbed. Any home could be rehabbed.
You're not answering my question. Is it in a state that it needs to be torn down? I mean, is it like the building is falling apart or the walls are caving in? Some kind of major issue. I just want to know the conditions of the dwelling.
I am not a structural engineer to be able to answer that question.
You can't answer that question. Okay, all right. Okay, and if it was not at a state that it needs to be torn down to make room for 2 other places or houses, would you still be able to build at least 2 to 3 homes, 2 to 3 homes without demolishing the home?
Of course.
Okay. Have you done an assessment to determine whether or not that's a home needs to be up to code, or there's any needs to be remodeled in the inside or upgraded or whatever? Because it's a very nice home. I just want to just get those kind of responses from you to see exactly where we're going.
As far as the condition of the home, in my opinion, as it sits right now, I'm making a recommendation to demolish the home so we can build, instead of having one residence. That is a economic win for the town, all the way around, from tax purposes to utility count and revenues to me, having 4 is better.
All right, so where's the money gonna come from?
As I told you in the presentation, I'm not at liberty to talk about that number because of the negotiations that's going. But I will prepare that once it's ready.
It's just that I don't feel very comfortable dealing with anything if we don't have those answers. You're not able to talk about it yet, and we shouldn't be dealing with it right now until you get all the answers and bring everything back to the board.
I think you have the answer, but I think it's not public right now. It's not public. I think the answers are there, but first I gotta do A to get to B. No, I'm just saying get A to get to B, and we'll have C and D when we do those first 2 things. So I understand Greg was saying that just take care of A, then when we come back, when we get the land, all that, the parcels, all that divided, have the company said that, that he dealing with about getting the funding to fund the houses, that he said in the presentation that no money would come out of CRA if it works that way. He just gave a little snippet of what can happen. Instead of saying, oh yeah, I can get this, he's just saying he's working on to get funding for the CRA have to pay no dollars. So that's what I heard in this presentation.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I understand the plan, what is being done. But what I don't, agree with is moving forward with something. You have to come back with the whole package to let us know exactly. For instance, you said that you're not at liberty to discuss about it right now. But when you get the liberty to discuss it, then you come and bring it to us, so that way we'll know what's going on.
So understand this process. First of all, you gotta get raw land to build a house. That is not raw land as it sits present.
Well, if, I'm gonna go ahead and speak
Are
on
you
this
finished?
matter now.
Director
Are you
Randall?
finished?
You finished?
Well, he can't tell me enough right now. You need to make a decision, so he doesn't really know. But I really wanted to ask about, the streets, the right of way. I understand it's an old road that's been there for a long
That's
time.
not true.
That's not true?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. So I'm just gonna work with what I have. All right, thank you.
Okay, if I may, 119, Southwest Street, it's kind of been a nightmare to me, to be honest with you, because of, everything that has taken place, basically, within the, grounds of property not being in the ownership of the ones that was the original owners. So it was definitely, a sensitive situation, especially with, the previous owners coming up and kind of expressing, how they felt about the property and us not pretty much moving forward. And I feel like Ms. Johnson did a great job, but I think it's a lot of holes that was, created along the way also that made us come to this point. Now, the plan itself is a great plan, but me personally, I would, like to ask the owners that, owned it before we did, well, before even the one that we bought it from, would they be interested in even purchasing their property back? You know, because I feel that would be fair. You know, we bought the property, and if they're in a situation financially to buy the property back, I'm definitely in favor of that versus sitting here tearing the property down, because you gotta think, if you go to someone's home and they're not in it no more forcefully, in a sense, something that they work hard for. You know, people work hard for their money and their properties. And if you just, you know, get to a point of not even, you know, being, in a compromised position to help, in a sense, to help them benefit themselves, we're doing ourselves injustice, you know what I'm saying, as a board, by not helping our citizens. And I'm all about helping my citizens. It's not all about money. Money's not everything. And I have to express that so many times. Money come and go. But things of that nature right there is so sentimental, it's valuable to them. It may not be as valuable to us because it's not our domain. Can you imagine being tossed out your house and then you walk, drive by and it's being tore down to build 4 more houses for some other families to live in? That's distasteful to me. And like I said, Ms. Johnson, you do a terrific job at, what you do, and I got a great appreciation for what you do. But, in my eyes, right is right, wrong is wrong. I don't think it's the right thing to do. Now, what I would like to do, if we could, possibly table this and reach out to the, previous owner and ask them, are they in a situation or financial situation to be able to perhaps buy that property back from us, I'll be willing to do that. Versus tearing this home down, because I don't feel good about tearing any home down in Eatonville, to be honest with you, because this is a historic place, and that house been there since I've been a little boy. And to
walk by it or even ride by it and not see it there anymore would really put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just being honest. But for the most part, I'm looking out for the family that was actually in the home. That I'm pretty sure want to get back to a position of getting back in their home. This is their domain. That's their property. That's something that they work hard for. You know, and if you buy a car and you rent it for 6 years and you miss a payment and then they come and pick it up, that's not right. You don't work so hard to get to that point of almost to that limit of paying it off, basically. And you get slapped in the face basically with having to get out the home. So at this moment, just me now, I would like to table this item and have staff reach out to the previous owner and ask them would they be willing to buy this property back versus going with the plan that we got, which is a great plan. Now, if they decide that they don't want the plan anymore, they don't want the home anymore, I'm eager to go ahead with this plan because it's gonna benefit us as a town. But like I stated before, it's not about the money with me. You know what I'm saying? As a board member, it's our responsibility to make sure that, we're doing community redevelopment. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people gotta recognize. We're not in a position of developing, we're in a position of redeveloping. You know what I'm saying? And if I can sit here and put myself in a situation like they were, I would definitely want somebody to do that for me. So at this moment, I would like to take my second back and put a motion on the floor to table this item, have staff reach out to the previous owner and ask them, are they capable or in a financial situation to purchase this property back versus tearing this property down. That's what I want to do.
Vice Chair.
Good, good. I think that's good, but it's misleading, some of the stuff you're saying, because the owner of the property is not here. The owner property that we bought the property from is not here.
But
So,
you get my remarks when I say
I'm
that.
saying-
I say the owner before the previous owner that we actually purchased it from. You gotta understand what I said, and that's on record.
Okay. Previous
That's
owner,
on record.
you said who we bought it. The thing is this here, you said when we bought it, sell it back to who we brought it from. That person is not here. We didn't buy it from the person that stayed in the house. We bought it from the person that owned it.
Previous owner before the point that we actually purchased it from.
But that's two different people. You can't, if we didn't, that's two, we
But
can't. do
that's
that.
what, listen, you know what I mean when I say that.
Okay, wait, go on.
I'm just,
Wait.
No, hold on. A board member is speaking right now.
no, I'm speaking right
And
now.
I was speaking and you interrupted.
Stop. You had stop.
But you were telling me that I'm saying something that I didn't say though.
I'm telling you, the person that we bought the house from.
Oh, man.
I'm saying the person you bought the house from is not here.
But
So why are you gonna sell it back?
I said the previous person that we purchased it for before that. You know who I'm talking about
Okay, though,
when I say that.
we can't sell it to
You know
somebody
what I'm
that.
talking about when I say that.
No, we can't sell it to somebody that, sell it back to somebody that we didn't buy it from. So who, you misleading, that's what I'm trying to say, you
It's not misleading. How's it misleading when everybody up here got common sense?
I'm not. Because you cannot.
The logical sense.
No, it's not, because you.
It's not logical about
Not
that.
logical about what you're saying.
Like seriously.
No.
What is not logical about what I just said?
I just from this.
And I'm the most transparent person sitting up here, I can promise you that.
No,
So
I'm
when
just
it
saying.
comes to you telling me that, listen, common sense though, we purchased it from the gentleman that we purchased it from.
So we got to buy.
Whoever that is,
Okay.
right? And the one that was prior to him is whom I'm talking about.
So-
And you know that. So don't sit here and try to make a mockery of it.
Director Mack.
No, seriously though.
Right.
Don't do that because I'm not gonna allow you to do that.
Director
I'm
Mack.
not,
Vice Chair, finish what
I'm
you
not
said,
gonna allow you to do that.
thing is.
and then we're going to Director.
But I'm not gonna be, listen, you can misunderstand me, you can ask me a question. Don't sit here and tell me it's misleading
It is, the thing is, we cannot.
We're not
when you
gonna,
already know yourself. And like I said before, this is a terrific plan. Now, if it doesn't work, like I said, I'll be more than happy to do this plan. But I think it's just, and I'm trying to lower my voice, I really am. You know, but when it comes to someone playing with my intelligence, I got a serious problem with that.
No,
You understand me? Hold
Just wait.
Listen,
When you're finished, I need him to go ahead and finish.
and I'm gonna let him finish, but I've already kind of put my spiel out there. Then anybody that, and like I said before, it's a sensitive situation here. You understand me? And anybody that's been following this, and this board knows. Don't sit here and try to play like you don't know. This board knows who I'm talking about. I don't have to go around circles and directly go to exactly pinpointing who it is. You know who it is. And I'm not saying any names. You understand me? But listen, man, I serve a high God, man. And whenever I make my conviction, that's who I talk to. I don't care how religious anybody else is, but that's how I make my conviction on how I vote. My heart is pure when it comes to stuff like this, man. And I don't play around with people's livelihood, man. I don't do that. And if I can help somebody, especially my citizens, or even a citizen that used to live here and was forced out of this community, that was a resident in this community. Do you know that too? And that's a very serious problem with me, man. You know, for someone that was, listen, for someone that was happily living in this community, we had an opportunity to help them out. Let me finish. We had an opportunity to help them out. Right? And we chose not to, in a sense. I don't care who get mad, who get upset, who get disappointed. God says it's okay to be upset and disappointed, because I am. You understand me? Now, when it comes to us having our responsibilities, I got a great responsibility up here, right? Because of my vote count, just like everybody else vote count, but I only got one. But I'm gonna always speak my conviction before I make anything in terms of how we're gonna narrate anything. In my heart, I feel like we need to go back to the basis of where we started, because we started somewhere, and say, listen, let's make this right. Are you guys in a position to buy your property back? Yeah or nay? If it's nay, we move forward. We move forward. If it's yes, let's work it out. I think that's the right thing to do. A lot of times you do things that you don't want to do sometimes to get where you have to get at, right? And a lot of times we sit up here and we make so many bad decisions, man, to it ain't even funny. To it ain't even funny. But guess what? I'm not in no rush to do nothing. I'm not in a rush to do nothing. But what I am in a rush to do is put somebody back in their home that they bought, that they moved into this community and bought. They believed in Eatonville. They was Eatonville residents. You understand what I'm saying to you? So regardless of how we look at this whole plan, great plan, Mr. Johnson. Excellent job. You know what I'm saying? You're sitting in that seat for a reason, right? You work for the board. Guess who I work for? I work for the people. I work for the people. And I'm gonna say this in closing. Like I said before, I want to take back my second, put a motion on the floor to table this item, go back to the drawing board, to the people that owned it before, the people that we purchased it from, and ask them, are they interested in buying their property back? And if they say yes, let's work it out. If they say no, we move forward. Simple. And I'm done. And I'll let you go ahead and do your thing.
I'm not talking about families there. I'm saying what you just said, the people we bought the property from. Who we asked, who's.
Proud to the one that.
No. The people we bought the property from. Let's understand the question. The people we bought the property from, who was that?
But what did I just say?
Wait, hold on, say what you're gonna say.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying anything. But you know who I'm talking about, though.
But
I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not.
So can I say something?
I'm not.
Please. So if the idea is to have someone purchase a property, if we're gonna put 4 properties there, we just spent about $342,000. So are you saying we're gonna sell it for 342? And if you're going to say that, then we have to allow that sale to be to anyone, number one. Well, that's 2. The third thing is that it's already in the possession of the CRA. We can't just say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We have to follow the laws now.
If we're able to do it.
We have to follow the laws. And the laws do not say we can just say, hey, you
can buy this property.
Is it any truth to that, Attorney Jackson? And listen, give it to me straight. I don't wanna, you know, and I trust your expertise because you're our, you know, our law that we trust. Anything that you're giving me legally, I'm gonna sit here and digest it, comprehend it, and take your word on it. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I'm not gonna tolerate is somebody telling me something just to tell me something. Now, if it's something that we can do, please allow this board to know and the citizens, please. Don't tell me that we can't do something and we can. Now that's something that really doesn't sit well, I don't think, with anyone. You know what I'm saying? So if it's something that we can do legally, please allow myself, this board, and anybody else that's sending the presence of this.
I'm good.
Because I don't think, go ahead, just go.
So, pursuant to chapter 163.38, which discusses the disposal of property in the community redevelopment area, it does allow for the sale, lease, to dispose of and otherwise transfer real property or any other interest acquired by or within the community redevelopment area. The only issue with that is that if it is sold, leased, or disposed of within the community redevelopment area, that the person, private person or entity that purchased that has to do so within the aims of the plan. And what I'll do is I'll read to you what the statute says. Such sale, lease, other transfer or retention, and any agreement relating thereto may be made only after the approval of the community redevelopment plan by the governing body. The purchasers or lessees and their successors and assigns shall be obligated to devote such real property only to the uses specified in the community redevelopment plan, and may be obligated to comply with such other requirements as the county, municipality, or community redevelopment agency may determine to be in the public interest. And so what that means is that the property, if it is sold to a private individual, they would have to be committed to following through with the plan, which is to develop affordable housing on that property, not to move back into the property for themselves. So can it be sold to someone, a private entity or a private individual? Yes, it can, but they have to comply with the redevelopment agency plan, which to move back in for personal use would not fit with the plan.
Okay, now my next question would be this right here, because I see the individual that I want to speak to. If you can come to the podium, Chair, I can ask the question. Mr. Bertram, could you come to the podium, please, so I can ask you a question? Did you hear everything the attorney just spoke about? Yeah. Are you willing, are you able to do that? Yeah. Howard. God, man, who would I talk to? Who would I go to help me do anything that I want to get done at this point? Would I go talk to Mike? Mayor? Probably not. No, come on. I mean, I'm not, the position that we're put in is not favorable for us to do anything in this community. Okay, is that plan a good plan? Absolutely, Mike, yeah. Good for a house, knock the house down. I mean, that makes financial sense. You know what I mean? You guys have already stole the house. You spent way more money to steal a house than you would have if you just bought the lots. You paid an extra $100,000, make no sense. Why cause the conflict? You know, but listen, man, I didn't talk to my wife, honestly, if that was actually a real opportunity and make a decision. But man, listen, we done prayed about it. God is good. We're gonna be blessed. We're praying for y'all blessings at this point. So whatever y'all decide to do, don't make it about us. We already came to y'all and said, hey, we want to keep our property. We were prepared to pay for it. And you guys still went ahead with the decisions you made. So, you know, I'm not asking you to overturn anything. I didn't come here to say anything today. I just, listen, man, you demo the house and I drive by it and see 2 houses there. That's what we came here to do. We came here to build houses and help bring houses and affordable houses and help the community get rid of all the bad looking areas that haven't been developed. So you're doing something that I plan to do. You know what I mean? So God, if that's something that make y'all feel better to come to us and say,
All right.
all right, sorry, God bless you. Now, hold up, before you leave the podium, please. Because I didn't get a clear, answer.
100%, we can afford to buy the property back. 100%.
So that's something that, the plan that,
Okay. I'd love to talk to my wife to discuss it, if that is a real true option for us.
all right, well, I appreciate that, man. If, and like I said, I wanna rescind my second, put a motion on the floor to table this item until we can get more clarity on what it is that this individual, wanna do before moving forward. And like I said, I'm only one vote, but I'm not gonna approve what we got now. I would rather table it, come back to it, because it's a plan already. Now, it can go up or down, but I think in, retrospect to, what has been talked about, previous to him getting up here, I think it's only right that we table this item, until we can move forward with getting some real clarity on what it is that we need to do.
And I hear you, but I feel just the opposite. If the plan is to redevelop it with 4 houses, we're now gonna sell it to someone to redevelop it with 4 houses. That doesn't.
But was it your
make
property,
sense.
was it your property before we?
But that.
But you're gonna have your opinion like I have mine.
But let me have my opinion.
Just like I got mine.
But I.
Have an opinion on, let me have mine.
But I haven't questioned your opinion. I'm stating mine, and now you are questioning my opinion, but that's okay.
No, but question mine too, because you said with your opinion. I already told you what my opinion was, so we both got opinions.
So I don't.
We both got different opinions on how we look at
Finish,
this.
please, Director Mack. If you want a table, we put it we put it for a vote. I'm not for a table.
I've already did that. So I rescinded my second.
It was a question on the floor.
It was right.
You gotta take the vote, then you read.
We have the motion that would have to be rescinded. So the person that moved the motion, if they don't wanna rescind their motion, then if someone else wants to second it, we move on with the motion. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you rescind your second, and
Yes.
we understand that. I don't remember who moved it. Who moved it?
I moved. I don't know who did either.
So
Second it.
So it's been moved,
Wait,
and it's,
question.
we're back in a
We
second
don't question.
with, no, hold on, we're not on, the tabling is not on,
Oh,
on the,
okay, sorry.
right now, we're still, so we just have another second. A different person seconding the motion, because this second was rescinded,
Okay.
yes.
Director Washington was in the middle of speaking. I would honestly like to hear the rest of whatever he was about to say. And then I saw that Director Daniels had his hand up, so I'm willing to wait my turn.
And for clarity, Chair, on the original motion that was put on the floor, Washington moved it. Max seconded.
So then, if the second has been rescinded, is there anyone else would like to second if we're gonna move forward with the motion?
Second with questions.
Okay, so seconded with questions. Okay. Now we're back to Vice Chair.
My main argument is, not argument, but my, say on this property is that we did what CRA is supposed to be doing. I understand, the people, the family was in the house before this situation came up. I had nothing to say against them for them or anything like that, or use them. But when we purchased the house, we didn't purchase it from that person. It was another owner of all of the property. So that's my point I have on this here. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just saying we bought the property from someone else. So that means the person we bought it from has first right refusal to buy it back for somebody else to get it back, if that's the case, if we do it that way. Okay, that's what I'm saying on that issue there. So the person that lived in it didn't have the opportunity we didn't buy it from them. So that's all I want to say about the property. I didn't have nothing but your opinion on it. That's the thing I want to get.
Is that something you're making up, or is that something that?
Making up.
I'm talking about having first bids by the one that we actually purchased it from.
You said let the person buy that.
No, he said if that's the case,
If
but
that's the
that's
case.
not the case.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that's definitely
Wait,
not
hold
the
on, I
case.
know we're going to
That's just
direct,
something that you
we're
just,
going to Director Daniels, please.
I never agreed with what happened before. I think that, the owner or the occupants of it should have had the opportunity to, get their home back. I agree with Board Member Mack, as far as doing things right. I go back to the Tommy Dixon property. We all up here, we understand why it was done so that an investor doesn't get the property. But to do the right thing would be, hey, we got it, the Dixon family. Now we're gonna give you the opportunity to see if you want it. And just like Board Member Mack said, if you can't do it, then guess what? We have it. Same thing with Mr. Bertrand and his family. I don't like how that, like I said, I don't like how that whole situation went down. To me, it wasn't right. To make it right, to say, can you get it now? You know, to purchase it back. I know we can't do it because of the attorney, if it doesn't meet a certain criteria. The same thing you said about the Tommy Dixon property, that we couldn't let the family have an opportunity to get it back. Now it's in the CRA, and if they can't do it, then you can't do it. So once we closed on this, that's what I was waiting for you to say, from Mr. Bertrand. I don't think we could do it legally, but I'm not in favor of the demolition because of how it was done. I didn't agree with how it was done. Haven't had the opportunity to talk to him, but to see the evidence of how it was, to me, it was shady to me. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm done with it.
I just want to make one correction, of Board Member Daniels. I'm not saying that it cannot be done. I'm saying that if it is done, the person who purchases the property has to be obligated to the CRA plan. And so if that person and this board determines that they can do what is dictated by the CRA plan, you can do the sale or lease flip up. If they can't do it, then you cannot do it.
So we could have did it for Mr. I hate to go back. We couldn't have did it for Mr. Dixon's family as well.
If the Dixon family, and go back on the record and check me on this one. What I believe I said, well, what I know I said, because I read from the same statute, if the property was conveyed back to the Dixon family, they would have to be obligated by the dictates of the CRA plan. And if they could follow the aims of the CRA plan, whether it was putting affordable housing on that property or whatever was dictated by that, then there could be a sale. I remember that there was a question about that it couldn't be sold back. And they said, this is how it could be sold back.
Okay, so just help me out with this. So if Mr. Bertrand buys the house back, how would he make it affordable housing? Is it a certain, how can he do it? I'm asking. Will he own it and then say it's affordable housing and let the family move in? You know what I'm saying? How could it be done?
It wasn't his house.
Director Critten's next. Right, I get it. Are you? I'll let you finish. All right, Director Critten.
My question is about the resolution as it reads in regards to, the proposal for demolition. And I forgot to ask this earlier when I asked about the preferred vendor, Bella 41. And I noticed in their proposal that they, highlighted that it was just an estimate. And I know that it's my preferred vendor regardless. But is there any way we could get like an up to, if we decide to move forward, if we don't table this tonight, whatever way this goes, is it possible that we could get an up to? Since this is an estimate and it could.
So I've met with all three. The number you see before you is the number.
Okay.
All right, right now, we're in the middle of a motion. And I know you're asked.
I've already,
Table, but.
that's what I've already resent my second. And I put a motion on the floor to table this item until.
But we're in a motion, but we're
I
in,
resent my motion.
we already got a second. You resent your second, the motion was not rescinded. The second one, we have Ms. Critten's second. From your
I know, so we're out of that.
No,
First-
when you rescinded your second, I came in with a second that replaced your second, so that we can continue to discuss it. Now, what I will say is that if it is the desire of this board to table it and have another conversation later, I'm not opposed to that, and I'm willing to rescind my second, since I was finally able to say.
Yeah, those are my words.
Because I really just wanted to ask a question. That was why I went ahead and put my second on the floor. But if this board is in favor of further discussion or tabling it, I'm not opposed to it. I just need to know before I rescind my second.
Those are my wishes. Okay. But I'm only one person.
So, but
Madam Chair, before you see. I think it's extremely important that you read that again, so folks can understand that this, to get rid of property, has to go for a public purpose. I said that, a public purpose.
it would have to be redeveloped.
It would have to be redeveloped for a public purpose. I'm sorry, this is the rules that you sit as the CRA board, and chapter 163 governs everybody's behavior. We can't do anything outside of chapter 163.
I stated that. I said redevelop.
Right.
I told you it's a difference in between redevelop and developing. It's a tremendous difference. You understand that? Those are my expressions, what I said. Now, I've asked them the question, are you able, capable, and willing to do the plans that we had? If you're able to do that, there you have it. You know what I'm saying? And we move forward with doing other things. Now, it's worth a discussion to table this item and come back to it. And if he's willing to do it, let's go forward with it. But if not, we got a perfect plan. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that, you know, in all fairness, that I think that would just be the appropriate thing to do. You know,
Why would they just not buy one of the houses? If they're only gonna end up being 345,000. We just put 342. If only one house, it has to be redeveloped. So why would you not just buy
your
it?
opinion like mine, I think differently.
And I'm gonna,
When you don't think like it,
but allow me,
just like you said,
but allow me to put it on the floor though. Allow me to put my thought on the floor.
but allow me to put my thoughts on the floor. See? See how
You won't let
I
me finish.
But I was just
But I'm
speaking
trying to
over.
make
You interrupted me.
Oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
Oh.
I thought you were done. Go
Out
ahead.
of all respect, and I respect you dearly, but I'm just speaking and voicing my opinion. And sometimes I rub people the wrong way sometimes, because some people hate to hear the truth. I'm not just speaking with you directly, but the truth hurts. The truth hurts. And I'm still
No, go ahead.
speaking. My idea is just to table this item for a lot of different reasons. You know what I'm saying? For one, I think it's the right thing to do. And I know we're all gonna have our opinion on how we look at this situation. You know what I'm saying? We ain't always get along. One thing about life, we gotta be able to disagree to agree on some things. And this one of the points where I'm not in agreement at this particular point. Now, do the plan look great? Heck, yeah, it's a great plan. But I wanna give the people that lived in that property an opportunity to do something that I think would be extraordinary for them and for the town, because it's gonna help the town essentially, no matter what direction we go, right? But I will be able to sleep better at night knowing that I did my due diligence and doing what I need to do and moving forward with, you know, giving them that opportunity. Now, if they don't want the opportunity, we were back to where we at now with the plan. But being that the plan is here, let's give them the opportunity to do what it is that they was willing to do, I think, from the beginning. That's just my opinion about it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that's just how I feel about it. And I don't want to keep being a horse about it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm done with it.
Right, Director Daniels.
This is how we move forward. If she takes her second
Second,
away, then it dies for lack of a second. Then you come with your motion to table, then it gets passed in second, then we move forward by
I
table.
have a question.
The motion would also have to be rescinded.
Right, but she would have
But
to
she-
take it, right, and he would have to take his back, and then it dies, and then we can go with your motion of tabling.
I still have a question. First of all, let's get something straight here. We didn't steal nothing and nothing was shady. Let's get that off this board. We did nothing. We didn't steal or nothing shady. People, that homeowner came to this board. Was he telling us the truth at the moment when he up at the podium? Was he telling he owned the property? Did you find out somebody else owned the property? So somebody get back there and say we stole something, I feel offended. I feel offended. Somebody said it's shady, I feel offended. Because I didn't go see, like I said, we didn't seek him, he seeked us to help him, but he didn't own the property. He did not own the property. I talked with him, he talked to all of us. I had conversation with him about this property going for this price. I get here, look at the paper, it's all different price. Find out, you do your research, Ms. Randolph did her research, you don't own the property, sir. So, who was shade and who was stolen? Was he trying to get over on the board? Was he trying to get over the board for us to put some money up front to pay his debts? Was that the case? If we being honest and truthful? Should we say honest and being truthful? Because I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Because you just stood up.
We're not going
Hey,
to.
you just stood up and said we stole something from you.
Officer, please.
You just said we stole something. I feel offended.
We're not speaking directly to the, we're not
Well, exit.
direct.
Exit. I'm telling him this here. Did he own the problem when he came to us? No,
Just,
because you said we stole something, something shame. I feel offended, like I said. And y'all should feel offended, sitting there saying, well, yeah, we did something wrong. No, was he honest with us? You want us to say, like you said, pay for something you don't own. I feel good if you pay it, and I can make something off you. Would we own the property? No, because he never owned the property. We did that for him. We would have never owned the property because he didn't own it. We put some money up front to pay somebody debt, and they didn't own the property. So we'll be not good stewards of taxpayer dollars if we made that move. We wouldn't have been good taxpayer dollars. I mean, spending taxpayer dollars. Because that would have been a bad deal if we go buy somebody's property. Buy that property from this guy here. He didn't own it. If we said yes to that there, he'd have took whatever he asked for and paid who? The CRA wouldn't own it. Because he didn't own it. So what I'm hot about, because you was hot, I'm hot because he said we stole something. They'll have a board member say it was shady, but it was shady from him telling you when he had talked to all of us. He was being shady. I know he talked to all of us. He got me. Oh, y'all give you for $50,000. We're gonna pay for this $75,000. That's not what I talked about with you with. So let the truth come out. That's my truth. I didn't want to talk about it, but him sitting up there saying that there, he's a liar, and he's just a liar. That's all I say.
I just think, I don't want to talk over here. I just think that if we're gonna table it, then we should have asked for financials. Because what we're saying is that we're tabling something for someone to do what we're saying that we're gonna do. You have to have money to redevelop 4 lots. And if we are here because a home was lost, where all of a sudden is the money to develop 4 lots? It just seems like we're gonna drag something out into a whole nother episode. And that to me is not fair. Because there is no evidence, it's no evidence now, and the same as it was no evidence before, that this can happen. And again, I say that obviously we knew why we were coming here. Where are the documents to show we have the money? Here's where it's coming from. And if we're going to develop 4 lots, here's the money. Here's where it's coming from. It'll be done within 90 days, 180 days, whatever. So I think it's reckless on our part to table something that's sitting right in front of us. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And if we're going to sell 4 lots at about $345, what's the difference in that person having the opportunity to purchase a new home versus a home that has to now be renovated? Because why would we sell it for anything less than what we've already put into it at $342? That doesn't make sense to me, but you can rescind your second, you can rescind your motion, but I'm not for tabling it. I think that we should be.
All I'm waiting on
So
her, second, resend her second, if that's what.
Let her go ahead and.
Another comment. Director Randolph made a comment about, or a suggestion about, doing 2 homes instead of 4. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because there seems to be so much tension regarding this issue. I won't waste my comment talking about what we've already talked about. But before I move forward to rescind anything, I do want to know if that's something anybody else is interested in. And Mayor, I see, or excuse me, Chair, I see you shaking your head and I understand why you made that clear, but. And the only reason that I'm asking is because, and you know what, I am gonna comment. I am in favor of 4 houses on that lot for a number of different reasons. And I did speak with the Bertrands, and I did see a number of correspondences that led me to vote the way that I voted when I voted. So since we're sitting here tonight, I am in favor of 4 houses on that lot. I said when we voted that I didn't like how messy the situation was from either side. And I stand on that. But since we're here, since we're bound by law, and since we have objectives, and let me insert this as well, with CRAs being on the line right now, I don't think we have any wiggle room to do anything other than what we need to be doing with the risk of, first of all, sunset in 27 and then total shutdown in 45. That's me, that's Ruth. In my directing that voice, that's 1 vote. That's my conviction on that. Now, the reason, back to my comment about Director Randolph's suggestion. I'm not opposed to that idea either, if it means that we still meet the objectives of the agency. That's it.
That's why there's more reason to table the item.
Correct.
You know what I'm
That's the
saying?
reason I agree.
Director
We're
Randolph.
just being honest about it. That's my reason. Everybody got an opinion, man.
Director Randolph.
That's my opinion.
Director Randolph.
You can voice your opinion. You got a microphone right there. What's your opinion?
But now,
In turn.
it's
What's your
Director,
opinion?
it's Director Randolph's.
The only thing that I was saying earlier, everyone, and I was basing upon our director response to my question. When you said that you would have to go further to get finals from wherever, but you couldn't discuss it. All I was saying is that when you bring that back, like I say, the plan, here's a plan.
It's all.
It's on the plan. Yeah, because in my opinion, we can't go further than number 7 until we get the whole thing. I want to see the whole picture of it. And I had asked you about the tour on the house, review that. Tomorrow, we can go and take a look at it so I can get a better view about what we're doing and how we're gonna go about this. So that's what I need. I need supporting information. And we don't, excuse me, and we do not have a conceptual design other than what you have here for each one of those homes.
That's what.
So that goes into like number 7.
So first, the board needs to make a decision about if it wants to demo the property. Because you don't, then we're contributing to the code violations that we don't want to be a part of. It's our job to eliminate slum and blight. And I'm pretty sure once you walk on that property, as I've done multiple times, you're gonna come to the same conclusion. And you'll see why this issue is on before you today. I'm not here to try to embarrass nobody. I think there's a lot of misinformation that's passed out. And I agree with Dirk Matt, the truth is the truth. I can't change it. Neither you can change it. The facts are the facts. And I've kept my mouth closed and I've tried not to say nothing. Because that's my damn friend sitting up there. And I know he's not being honest. And y'all put me in a real bad situation because he is trying to promulgate a lie to this community. And that's not fair to me, that's not fair to y'all, and it's not fair to the attorney. Those are lies, folks. That is tons of misinformation. You don't need me to tell you that. You got an email from the property owner. You know what's been said to you is not true. Everybody up here got those emails. I'm not here to embarrass him. I've kept my mouth closed. I've let this process play itself out. The reason he came to each one of you, because I told him to keep me out of it. Because what you talk to them about is not my business. I did not put this on the agenda and give you a recommendation from the administration. I did not do that. because I knew the facts. Now, I'm not here to try to embarrass him or his family or nobody. This deliberation that we're having here is really unnecessary because you have a statutory responsibility to carry out the duties of chapter 163. And what I'm hearing, and I can appreciate people feeling, I have more passion and feelings than anybody. I lost a friend behind this. But I have a responsibility to do the right thing. And I had to put my friendship behind that. And I've heard tons of lies and misinformation. He came to me first, asking for the CRA board to give him $1 million. And I don't think that's been told to people. Without ownership, and whether Vice Chair Washington articulated it right or not, we cannot get past the point that in October of 2024, the ownership of that property changed hands. October of 2024. The process started in 23. Look at your closing statement that I provided to everybody. Read your emails from the property owner. Nobody's trying to deceive nobody. And to sit up there and promulgate a lie and continue to promulgate that lie is an embarrassment. And for people to fall into that, we have a business to run. This is a business. This is not a social service. This is a business. And we're governed by the behavior of Florida chapter 163. And we have to follow that. That is unquestionable. We have to follow. To dispose of property has to go for a public purpose. That is the law. I didn't write the law. Talk to your legislators. And that's what has to happen. We're past the emotional standpoint now because we have a responsibility to carry out the redevelopment activities of this community. We have to. There are business decisions at stake with this process. We've waited. We did the wait game. This started February 6th. February 6th. And everybody up here knows, because you read the email, any concerns and business dealing with that piece of property ended February 5th. That's not me. That's the facts for the person who carried out the foreclosure and the auction. That's not me. Those are the facts. People going around this community spreading lies for political purposes. And that's shame that you got to lie to convince people that we did something wrong. And this board and myself have not done anything wrong. And I made it my business to talk to everybody up here individually. Ms. Creighton, put it on the agenda. What did I say to you? Do your homework. Make sure you know why you're putting something on this agenda and you have the facts. We can't change those facts. She discovered everything I told her was true, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to embarrass my friend. I don't care what all these hanger-ons are saying. That was my friend, my brother. But I refuse to lie to y'all and deceive this town or this agency for my friend.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Who's the hanger-on? Who's that?
I'm pointing to people who in the community are spreading that stuff.
Okay.
I made no mention.
All right, now, okay, now,
Nobody on this board.
according to chapter 163, I asked the question already to the attorney. He gave me the indication that we could do what it is that I'm willing to do. Now, I know we're at this point hoping and wishing that Director Creighton could resend her second and possibly do a table on this. If not, everybody vote their conviction. But just know that sitting up here on this panel as board members, we gotta do what's right also. And I know a lot of times laws stand in the way of a lot of things, right? But God knows your desires of your heart, boy. And don't nobody trump him. Okay, what kind of laws you run into? Will I abide the laws? Of course. But do you do the right thing for your citizens? Not even citizen anymore, because they don't even reside in Eatonville because of this matter. Now just think about that for 1 second. That could happen to anybody. And you guys are able to sleep at night, and I say, not pointing at you and not undermining you, I'm just saying, I'm just speaking in general. How could you sleep at night knowing that a family, they got kids, was essentially forced out of their home for whatever reason? For whatever reason, right? And I know we tried to do everything in our power to get away from all the disclaimer that has been brought upon us. There's been so many different stories and narratives about this and about that. But I think it could have been done a lot different also. Now let's stand on that. It could have been done a lot different than what it was done before, because I know you guys keep saying that it wasn't the particular people property, but they had a contract that had expired because we didn't put ourselves in position to do the letter of intent for them to get the extension. Now that was now if we're gonna speak truth, let me continue to speak. If we're gonna speak truth, let's talk about this now. The letter of intent. Because I can recall me, I'm the one that said, get that letter of intent out ASAP. We ain't waiting until next week. That should have been done ASAP. As a matter of fact, it should have been done that night. It should have been done that night. But it wasn't. Now I trust attorney that he gonna always do his due diligence, just as well as Mr. Johnson. Now, just thinking logically now. Just think logically. We know this was a rush because it was already brought to us that, hey man, I really need this. But listen, no, it wasn't, because the guy, the purchaser, the owner, we the purchaser now, the owner has said, if you get the letter of intent that we need, we can extend your contract to continue making you the owner, still essential. But that wasn't done. That's why this particular family was put in a situation to be almost forced out of their home because they're no longer in position to be the owners, because the letter of intent wasn't done in a timely manner. Just like y'all talking about these meetings done in a timely manner, 72 hours, you gotta do that. So I think everything needs to be done in a timely manner, and it wasn't, for whatever reason, right? So let's not sit here and continue pointing fingers, because I ain't into that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very transparent person when I sit up here on this panel. I'm not even in the middle. I ain't in the middle, I ain't to the left, I ain't to the right. I'm about what's right. You understand me? And if we're gonna sit here and say we doing business, the town of Eatonville is a business. And guess what? I'm a legislator before I'm anything. Listen, I'm a board member up here, but my due diligence is to look out for the citizens of Eatonville and protect them. You understand me? I know I sit up here as a board member, but if we're gonna do right, man, let's do right, man. You know, let me finish. Because I didn't say anything, Mr. Johnson, when you were speaking. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that. You know what I'm saying? But if we're gonna position ourselves to continue saying we gotta go by this law, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, let's do it. Why we didn't have a letter of intent done, Mr. Jackson, if I can ask you that question, please? And I hate to put people on the spot, but I got to at this point. Why wasn't a letter of intent done that night and sent out, especially in the condition that it was done in terms of this particular family in an emergency? It was, you see, man, these people were practically crying up here, man. And we gonna sit here and sit on our hands and act like we don't know what's going on? Give me a break. Give me a break. Okay? Give me a break. Now, the question I'm asking, February 6th, I think it was the 18th, whenever the second meeting was. Why wasn't the letter of intent sent out immediately? Because you guys are the one that do it, right?
So, yeah, I didn't draft.
Yeah, who drafted it?
I drafted it for his review.
For my review, right.
Okay, you was here that same night, right? And you overheard, and you was in the meeting, for the record. And if you was here for the meeting, so you heard everything he said. You heard everything the tenant said also, that was in a contract. They at that particular time, they was in a contractual setting. They was actually the owners. They was the owners. Hold on. They was the owners, right? They was gonna be out of ownership if that letter of intent wasn't done in a proper manner, in a timely manner. But guess what? The reason that they're out of the situation of being the owner is because the letter of intent wasn't provided to them. Now, if we're gonna talk fast, let's talk fast. Cause I start here and listen to everything. I'm like an elephant. I don't forget nothing. I promise you that. I might sit here and act stupid sometimes, but I can guarantee you, like I say all the time, off the counterfeit of Director Daniel. I ain't the smartest person up here, but I'm sure not the dumbest. I can promise you that, boy. And if we gonna sit here and play patty cake and play games, I'm not playing games. I'm not playing no games with nobody when it comes to us sitting here conducting business like y'all said we're gonna conduct business.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. We can be in here till midnight. As far as I'm concerned. No. I'm still speaking.
And I understand
I'm
that.
still speaking.
But
We can be in here till midnight. Did you just watch Corey Booker?
No,
Did you just watch him? But listen to me. You can't interrupt me when I'm speaking, because I don't interrupt
I'm
you.
asking you.
Come on, I know you don't want to hear what I gotta say.
I'm asking you to please.
You don't
consider
want to hear what I
mentioning-
gotta say though. That's the whole thing. And I am being considered because I'm voicing my opinion. Okay? You can't tell me when to stop.
That's not what I was
There's no
saying.
red light, green light here.
Director, that's not what I was saying. I was
But
asking.
you telling me to be considerate. I'm being considerate because I'm speaking my voice right
We
now.
always have to be.
But I'm
considerate.
speaking my voice right
But
now.
we can say what we
I
gotta
go
say.
to every
every
class every year too.
But we
I know how I go.
We can say what we have to say and be
It's only
done.
5 people up here that go to ethics classes.
We can say what we
Five.
have to say and be done with it. We
But
can,
I'm not done with it though.
I'm
And I
asking.
hate to get into a
and I'm asking
situation like
you
that
to
because
be
it takes me back to some bad times when I sat up here on this panel. It really do. And this is not my character, but you guys make things so difficult sometimes. And then you want to sit here and not use your logics and act like you don't know what's going on when you really do know what's going on. We're not sitting here fighting for the people. I don't work for y'all. I work for the people. You understand me?
What are we waiting?
But I'm just being honest though, because this is ridiculous right now, man.
Well, what
This is ridiculous.
are we waiting?
This is
What are we
ridiculous.
waiting?
Doesn't make any sense.
Director,
All I asked for a simple table. What's so hard about tabling an item?
I can't get to it. Because you
What's so
started
hard about
talking.
tabling an item though?
I can't get to it.
But I just had to speak my voice because I heard some things that I wasn't too pleased with. Now, if we're gonna sit here and make comments, let's make sure we make comments and being mindful of the comments that you're making. Because like I said before, I don't forget. You may think I forget, but I don't forget. I promise you that, I don't forget. And what happened to that family at 119 Southwest Street is absurd.
Mr. Mayor, I just got one question.
It's absurd.
I got one question. Just one question. If we didn't step up and do what we did, who was going to? So they won't be out here regardless.
But we didn't give them opportunity.
No. It ain't we.
We didn't give them opportunity.
No, we wasn't owning it.
But listen, if we would have,
You saw.
if we would have got the letter,
You saw all the correspondence. You saw all of that.
but
They been making payments for over a year. 2 years. Okay, 2 years. I pay over a year. So they did have opportunity. They had opportunity.
2 years and 3 years behind in property tax.
So if you didn't purchase the property, somebody else was.
Listen,
What is that?
and I
but this was dated February 24th.
and the reason I want you to see that, is because he makes reference to what date in that email? February 5th. I'm not trying to embarrass nobody, but he's telling y'all he was done with them.
So these are all the correspondence that you had with this guy that was the actual owner?
I did not have the owner's number until the 9th or something like that. And that's only because Mr. Kenny put his foot in the ground and said you had to get off my property. Ms. Randolph, you talked to him, and I'm saying anything that's not true.
That's correct.
He was not doing no business with him. So when he stood up here on February 6th and told you he had a contract, that was not true.
And
He was lying.
And the proper procedure, because of the letter of intent, we have to ensure that the letter of intent went to the
Property
correct
owner.
person. So you couldn't
Can't not
rush
do a letter of
for
intent to somebody who don't own the
and give it to
property.
the wrong person, because then you're.
I know, but I'm saying though, okay,
And that's what you're, listen, that was
now
the.
where's the correspondence with you guys with the letter of intent that you sent to him?
So I don't do letter of intent, I review letter of intent.
Okay, so where's the letter of intent that you sent to this particular guy here?
Oh, I can go print it for you. It came on the 12th.
You sent it to him on the
It's the
12th?
11th of the 12th because the attorney had to review it for.
But was it in it? But listen, this is now I'm getting mixed stories because I'm getting a side from here and then I'm getting another side from here. Now,
We on the same.
hold on. So the one that was in contract, apparently, listen, I'm just going by what they're telling me.
They're not being honest.
You understand me?
They're not being honest with you.
Now, I see that the one that was the owner, he indicated that it was the fifth. Now that's neither here nor there. That's he say, she say. In the courts of law, you gonna have to show me better than just telling me, right? Anybody know that though? Of course, but he was in contract though.
He was not in the contract. He's telling you right now. Any relationship he had with them ended on the field. The only reason they gave me
I don't believe anything.
the only reason they gave me the number that Friday night was at 7:30 at night is because they reached out to Mr. Kenny and he said absolutely not. And that's why they gave me his number. And I did not call Mr. Kenny over the weekend. I spoke to him that Monday. Am I correct?
Yes.
And he reiterated that he has no business affairs with them at all. He was gonna put the property on the market for sale. Period.
And because he was represented by counsel, I couldn't speak to him directly. I had
Right.
to speak to the attorney.
The
So
attorney.
his attorney and I
It's
were
a process.
in communications to make sure we were doing the right thing, so.
I understand that, but I think it's been a lot of miscommunication that has been involved.
Not by us.
Whoever it's from, I don't know, man, but I listen, man. There's a lot of different things that could have went different with this situation. It really could have, you know what I'm saying? Now, me sitting up here, it's almost like I'm a judge. You get a ticket from my officer, I gotta figure out if you guilty or not, right? I don't know that until you present all the evidence to me. Now I'm getting evidence from the defense side and the state side. So who am I to believe until I factually put everything together, right? So if I'm sitting here listening to what the defendant's saying, and it sounds like he's telling the truth, and then the state pretty much trying to defend, but trying to make their facts on, you know what I'm saying, whoever it is that they're trying to justify for, who am I to believe? You know what I'm saying? We only believe what somebody coming to this podium and said. That's why it's called public open. You come up here and you speak your truth. You know what I'm saying? I can't do nothing but sit here either believe or not believe.
I
You know, so I can't sit here and just, continue contradicting anybody on what they doing.
But
I can't.
directly, my only point of providing you the email to let you see the dates, right? And let you hear from the person who owns the property, not from me.
But when we have
Not
we have that meeting though? When was the meeting?
we had.
That's a whole day after.
No, they came to us on the 7th, the night of the 7th, and gave me the phone number. We had the meeting on the 6th. Read that email. That email tells you.
But I'm saying it's saying the fifth. So with that being said,
he was done with them on the 5th. They came here misrepresenting.
Now the reason we moved forward with the meeting, the special meeting, is because we had no indication that it was the fifth, right?
I did not.
If you would have known that, you would have never called for a special meeting, Ms. Quinn.
That's why I told her.
When I called for the special meeting, I advised them that there was a 72-hour window and that policy and procedure had to be followed. And he did express to me that he needed something prior to. I also expressed to him that it doesn't work that quickly, that we would have to have a meeting, that direction would have to be given, that administration would have to, and staff would have to do their part. But it wouldn't be done by the date of the 7th that he gave me, which is why when he stood up there that night, he said he would prefer a hard no versus a slow yes. He was saying, I need to know tonight. And then I got the emails that said that the business was done before we even had our meeting. And I saw them for
That's what
myself.
I'm saying, so
So I wouldn't.
that's what I'm saying, if, in indication, if you would have known that, you would have never, you would have never said.
The
let's have a
date that
special
he
meeting.
gave me was the 7th. I emailed Ms. King, I believe that Friday. And Ms. King had to poll everybody to get everybody's availability. Once she got a quorum, then she could schedule it. So it's whether she had gotten all yeses that day or not, whether she had gotten all yeses that day or not, the 6th would have been the earliest that meeting could have been because I reached out that Friday.
Which is when we had.
We had it on the 7th. We had the meeting on the 6th. We had the meeting on the 6th.
The day before this email was sent out.
However, whether we had
Well,
it the day that he came and saw.
No, he said that on February 24th,
This
indicating that he was done with them on February 5th.
Right, but my point is that when they.
So that was actually, what, 16 days after?
But this is prior
18
to that.
days
When he came to me and asked me if it was possible to put in a request for a special meeting. He gave me his timeline and I expressed to him then that what he was asking for, what he was seeking from the board wasn't gonna be done by the date that he gave me, which was the 7th. I didn't know anything about the 5th. I didn't even know about Mr. Kenny until I got the instruction from the director to get all my paperwork together. I even made a comment to Director Randolph that I had pulled public records. I had seen what I needed to see. The purpose of me calling that meeting was so that a discussion could be had. I couldn't call you outside of here. I had to get you here in order to have a discussion with you.
Absolutely.
Which is why I did what I did. However, I still expressed to him that regardless of what your timeline is, we are bound by Florida Statute 163 and the town of Eatonville. Yeah, we, so
72 hours.
not to say that I knew then and I wouldn't have called it, I would have called it because he's a constituent and he came to me and as a member of this board, I owed him enough to hear what he had to say and what he wanted to bring to the board.
And I think
But
I would have been with anybody, if
him-
you would have came to me, I would
But I
have done the
still
same thing.
expressed to him, and Mr. Bertrand can attest to this, him and his wife, I still expressed to them that the timeline that you got me in is very restricted. And the likelihood that I can do what it is that you need done is little to none. I was looking at 30 days at the earliest that something whatever could have been done, could have been done. So I kind of knew coming in, it's gonna be tight, if it's even possible. Not to say that any subsequent conversations didn't already confirm the information I had pulled for myself before I got any correspondence, because this email did come to me, and I see the BCC on this email, so I see that y'all got it too. On the 24th, which is the date that we all received.
That's 18 days after the fact.
18 days after the fact.
Indicating that he says the 5th
With
of February when he's done with all business.
contradicting date by the owner of the property.
That's what he
So
said.
even if King had an assignable contract, even if King came and said, I got until the 7th, the owner had said otherwise. And to be totally honest, to be completely transparent, if I go next door to 321 and I say I'm trying to sell 323, they're gonna look at me like you don't own it. They're gonna say, where is Mr. Matt? How can you come to me, even with an assignable contract, they're going to question how I can do any business on anyone's behalf that owns that residence.
Of course, but according to Mr. Bertrand, he said the 7th.
He did.
So we had the meeting on the
He did.
6th, which is the day before. That's why I argued the fact of the letter of intent. If he would have got the letter of intent and it would have been emailed to the guy that was the owner, because they were they're under contract.
They weren't.
No, listen, I'm just going by what I was told.
Okay.
Now, the 7th, he said he had to the 7th. I'm believing that he had to the 7th, right? That's my opinion too, to believe that too. He said the 5th is when he was done with all business.
Absolutely.
But according to Mr. Bertrand, he said the 7th.
Right.
Right? I don't think anybody in their right mind, knowing that they're done with business on the 5th, gonna want to have a meeting on the 6th. That just, you gotta think logic. Like, anybody with common sense gonna be like, why would I go and waste my time and the board member time having a meeting and doing something when I know I can't do it?
But that was why the conversation came
That don't make sense.
during the special meeting
That
about
don't
the
make
letter of
sense.
intent. The letter of intent was a gesture
To the
to
property
the
owner.
I
bumpers.
think if we get, now, to clear this all up right here, in all fairness, if we could get documents from, Mr. Strang showing us the 7th, that's gonna tell it all.
Tell it all.
That's gonna tell it all. And if he can't provide that, then the proof is in the pudding, right? So I think that particular date would be so severe. If we can, like I said, just table this, like, let's table. If we can have, listen, if we can have a special meeting, come back to it, hey, listen, have staff reach out to them, hey, if you can provide us documents stating that this gentleman right here that said the bill, and he told you the 7th, boy, you talking about a quick turn. That's a big turn of event, right? Listen, man, anybody with common sense, you gotta use common sense when you're doing business also, right? If somebody telling me, listen, that's just like your kids, you got 2 kids. One telling they ate the cookie, the other one say he didn't eat the cookie. Who you gonna believe? The one that got everything around the mouth, right? You understand me? Same thing. If this man can show us that it was the 7th, that the guy said that he'll be done with all business versus the 5th, like he said, so you gotta think now, and not undermining this gentleman that we bought the property from. People trying to get money, man. People do anything, they manipulate anything. They manipulate anything.
I understand where you,
I'm talking, man.
I understand where you're going. And Ms. Clinton would tell you, when she spoke to me, what did I say? Do your homework before you go calling a meeting. So the board can have all the facts. Prior to that, calling a special session and all that stuff, I asked Mr. Bertrand at least 3 times, give me Mr. Kenny's number. He refused. All 3 times. Because I wanted to hear from his perspective what was going on. They did not call me until Friday night, the 7th, after Mr. Kenny and their pleas to him went on deaf ears. And then they gave me his number. Never told me why he was giving me his number. Just gave me the number. Can you call him? That's what I was asked to do. Can I call him?
And like you indicated, he spoke with every board member, right?
I share with
I'm
you.
assuming.
I
He
share
spoke
with
with every
you
board
as I
member.
share with everybody who wanted to know. What he said to me that Monday is just what's in that email now. Right? That's what he said. How somebody come this, I did something, or this board did something.
Like, he's already point fingers, and you're exactly right.
It's pathetic that they would form those lies. Because, as I said, truth and fact trumps all of that foolishness.
Right.
Okay? And what's truthful is I spoke to Mr. Kenny, so on the 10th. Attorney received that LOI for review that Monday. Because this board said, do the LOI with the property owner. Y'all didn't say do LOI with Mr. Bertrand.
No, of course not, because he's not the owner.
But I want you to understand, we did an LOI with the property owner.
Right.
The property owner did not execute that document until after Mr. Jackson said to me, it's good. I forwarded it to him, he signed it and sent it back on the 12th, 11th or 12th, one of those days. The property owner. Right then, that consummated the start of our negotiations to buy that property. Let it be known and let it be said. October of 2024 is when the property changed hands from Mr. Bertrand to Mr. King.
Under contract, though, right?
I'm gonna say this again. That's when it changed hands. That's when the foreclosure process happened. That's when the auction happened. Nobody bidded for it for the auction. The property went back to Mr. Kenny. That is the way the rules and the laws work. Mr. Kenny then, and I'm not disagreeing with you, entered into a agreement with the Bertrands to buy back the property. And that date, hear me, that date was January 17th. I know that because Mr. Bertrand sat in my office before he even reached out to any of y'all. And I told him, you need to go talk to them. I'm your friend. I'm not getting involved in that. And that's why he reached out to you.
Right,
That's why he reached out to
but
everybody.
I think what's important right here, Mr. Johnson.
But I just want the facts.
I think what's important is, February 7th, right? So it's.
Who had that date?
That's what he stated.
I understand, but
He stated that up here on the panel. It was February 7th that he had to, that's why it was an emergency.
on February 6th, did he produce your
I
document
need to
saying?
interject.
I know, but.
I need to interject. We have got to move.
Yeah, we can,
We gotta
let's
move on.
move forward.
Oh, we're gonna be here all night.
Let's move forward.
I need.
I just don't want July.
I think if we can do
It's time for tabling.
to find out if it was February 7th.
No, if you're going to
I think-
rescind your second,
I will rescind my second.
Thank you.
are you rescinding your first?
No, no.
Not rescinding the motion,
I said.
you second it. So we're still, and I'm not for tabling.
And
Because that, it's just gonna drag this out.
No,
Just call the vote.
Well, if y'all wanna call the vote.
All right,
Vote to convict.
so it has,
Vote to convict.
it has been moved and Yes.
There were some amendments to that.
I was getting ready to say, it has been moved and seconded, for resolution CR 2025-18 with the corrections on the 6th whereas to remove the and development, as well as to add Bella 41 in section 1, as well as to state affordable housing in section 1.
And also to correct the spelling on the signature page. April is, the P is left off in the spelling. of it.
That's on the former resolution, that's on resolution,
Oh, I'm sorry, that was not that.
no, April is spelled right on that one.
It's not on this resolution.
No, ma'am.
So only with those changes. So all in favor with the demolition of 119 resolution CRAR 2025-18, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed.
Nay.
Like, for me to do a roll call.
It was, you could do a roll call, it was pretty clear.
Okay, Britt,
Aye.
sorry, Williams, Matt,
Nay.
Daniels,
Hey, Ms. Key.
Mayor,
Aye.
and the chair. That's all right. Washington. Right now.
No.
4-3.
Thank you.
The motion.
We're now moving on to the next item, approval of resolution CRAR 2025-19, authorizing the redevelopment of 119 Southwest Street. Ms. King, please.
Yes, it's for the record, the resolution in front of you has an error. It should say 19, but I will read it into the record.
Okay.
As it's supposed to read. Resolution CRA R 2025-19. Resolution of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, approving the redevelopment of 119 Southwest Street property into 4 single-family homes, providing conflict, severability, and an effective date.
You've heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
I move.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say
Well,
aye.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. Just, my first question is for the second to last, whereas it says that funds allocated in the Infill Home Loan Program. Is this one of those later on conversations? Okay, I'll save that for later. In the last whereas, in between agreements, are we agreeing? Are those site plans coming back for approval? I know we had the conceptuals,
When we get to where we need to be, all the things come back to the board.
okay, I just wrote all my questions down before I came, so you can tell me if I'm too far ahead.
No, you're fine.
In section 1, the word housing looks like it's missing again.
I'm
And
sorry.
then, I ain't gonna tell nobody. And then, the last line of that section says bidder for demolition services. You're supposed to say redevelopment. Last line of section 1 approval. Says recommended bidder for demolition
Oh,
services.
I'm sorry.
for redevelopment, right?
Right.
Okay. And that's it.
Can you restate that last clarity?
The section one, the word housing in between affordable and within, and then in the last sentence, the board of director approves the recommended bidder for redevelopment services. I'm assuming other in
I would strike
place
out
of
bidder too, recommend approval.
recommend.
Actually, we're gonna, put the recommended, vendor in there? Is that what we're saying?
We did on the other one.
Yeah, it's gonna just mirror that.
So we can take out demolition and,
We taking out bidder for demolition services in its totality.
okay,
The board approves. And that word should be recommendation for redevelopment of 119 Southwest Street property owned by the total.
So for the record, the board of directors approve the recommendation for development of 119
For
Southwest,
redevelopment.
for redevelopment
Right.
of 119
For
Southwest
119
Street, property
Southwest.
owned by the total.
Right.
And then I'm just gonna add one more correction on the first sentence. 6, 7, whereas
Mhm.
county and their THEIR.
Oh,
There.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Where we at now? The
Yeah.
seventh?
7, Orange County and their
The
lending,
selling.
THEIR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. So with the correction of this being resolution -19. There. And recommendation, affordable housing within, recommendation for redevelopment for 119 Southwest Street. Those are the only corrections. I made them all correct. So it's been moved and seconded with the stated corrections. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Nay.
All right, the next item is approval of, it passes. Approval of resolution CRA R 2025-20, approving RFP to develop the property located 443 and 447. Are we still?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, you have first.
Resolution CRA-R 2025-20. Resolution of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, authorizing the request for proposal for redevelopment of 443 and 447 West Kennedy Boulevard, owned by the TOCRA CRA, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
wait, question.
It's been moved and seconded. Director Crit.
Director Johnson, I had a chance to discuss this with you earlier, but I had a question that popped up after our talk. The last whereas for the resolution in the middle, where it says that the TOCRA Board of Directors will select at its discretion the RFP consistent to the plan. We had discussed that we would approve the RFP going out, but then once we kind of got a decent proposal, they would come back and do like a presentation, so we
Right.
kind of have an idea, okay, because I don't want to get too far into how big the lot is and what can go there and what can't. If this is simply for an RFP, and then knowing that they will have to come back before the board to get approved, whatever they're gonna put
And
down there.
whatever they're gonna put down there has to meet the development code standards as stated in town development code and consistent with the comp plan for that particular use of property.
I have a question.
Director Randall.
Okay, I looked up this property today and it looks like it's, I don't know if it's 4 lots actually.
There's 4 25-foot lots, but
Yeah,
it used to be 2 separate owners, they each own 50 feet.
yeah. So it's making it 50 by 113.
It's gonna be 100 by 113.
Now, I mean, it's well, you say 2 lots.
We own both.
Yeah, no, you own the whole thing.
Right.
Okay, so, all right, so actually it's 100 feet.
100
Feet.
by 100.
Okay. All right, so my concern about it, is this, I'm glad that we do have that property. Don't get me wrong. But the other side of it is, we have the road project coming. I have a lot of concerns about that. About putting anything in the property down on the west end until we can get through the road issues. And also the right of way. So, I don't see any, like I say, just like the housing issue, any kind of conceptual design. I think it's too early. We also have the, hunger for property down on the other end with the 17 acres of land, and I think we need to wait. I think it's a good idea, but I think right now we're maybe a little too early. I would like to see exactly what is going to be the outcome before we go ahead and develop that property. Right, and so we have to consider a whole lot, even with 100 feet on Kennedy Boulevard. A retention pond, parking, which always seems to be the issue here in Eatonville, no matter where we go. Okay, parking is the issue. Making sure that we have an enclosed dumpster, that's gonna take up more land space. So I think until we can figure out or know exactly the plan and what we're gonna do on the west end, I think we just need to put this to a halt and table it until we get a more clarification.
So the request for proposal is for people to tell us what they're gonna do. It's their due diligence to make sure they take account for the road widening and meeting our land development code. That's not on us, that's on them. And they cannot present us something that interferes with those two things. So it was just to get a concept or idea of what could be placed there after those events happen. If the board wants to table it and wait, I'm fine with that too.
You know, you say that well, you know, we got to. Well, you recommended for approval for this, so that's the reason why I'm kind of.
I'm open to the board tabling it.
I'm willing to table.
Yeah, we need to see what's going on down on the west end. We don't want to be too prematurely, but I am in support of developing that property. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not. So I am, we just need, I think it's a little too early right now.
I have one question. Is it something we need to do regardless if we went through this process, if we hold off on it and come back here again, or what? You know, or if
At some point, the board's gonna have to authorize
we not be
the
authorized,
RFP, no matter what we do.
and how long that lasts, that RFP, how long it lasts? Once we get it, if we get it now, how long do it last? If we wait a year or whatever, we said wait, I mean, if we get RFP now, how long, I'm just saying how long that lasts.
It's up to the board when they entertain whatever's being proposed and who the selected proposal is. That's gonna be a process. That takes at least 90 days.
Is the fee on this, we charge, we got a cost on this
On what?
RFP, is this?
It don't cost nothing. I'm prepared.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, you gotta do it anyway, I mean,
It won't cost anything.
you gotta do it anyway, if we hold to it or not.
Right.
You got something to be done anyway, so I don't know. Payment gonna do it, gonna stop, it's not gonna stop anything, it's gonna just hold us back. So
But for the sake of the board, let's just table the item and we'll address it later.
Are we gonna rescind the second? I don't know. The motion is rescinded. Who's the second? Second has been withdrawn. Is there a motion? It's been asked to table. All in favor of tabling it? Wait.
Motion on the floor.
Is there a motion to table?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. All right, item has been tabled. Approval of resolution CRA R 2025-21 to purchase Showmaster Mobile Sound Show. Ms. King.
Resolution CRA R 2025-21. Resolution of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCRA, authorizing the executive director to purchase the Showmaster Mobile Sound Shell Community Stage, MSM 3200 series, that is 14 feet in diameter by 32 feet in length, with accessories, provided for conflict, severability, and effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Question?
So,
Question.
It's been seconded.
not a question.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now question, Vice Chair.
No.
Oh, Director Randall.
Okay, I reviewed the information, the documents, I have quite a few concerns about this, project here, or this piece of equipment. So we are alleging that, the town, I'm saying the town overall, CRA and the town, conducts up to 15 events every year. And that we pay Orlando. How much we pay Orlando for the stage?
$1,000.
$1,000.
A little over $1,000.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, I don't think we have 15 events. I'm not aware of that many. Maybe about 3 or 4 out of the year. However, I'm concerned about where the funds, what line item would that come from? And also, these are my questions, is that, is this what is the impact of this for blight areas of a stage? I know the purpose of it, but what is the impact will this have as far as blight areas?
Okay, so in the CRA plan, go to it. I want to say it's under goal 4, but I may be wrong, maybe goal 2, where it talks about doing events similar to Zora Neale Hurston, the cultural arts thing. We expend dollars when we do events on purchase of the stage. Right now, it averages about $15,000 a year. You've been doing that for the past 3 years. That's $45,000. That stage pays for itself in a 5-year period of time. Not only do you get the benefit of having your own facilities, and we don't have to go big, borrow, and steal from somebody else at their schedule. We have our own. We have our own identity. We don't have an event that says the city of Orlando on the stage. We have something that represents our community and says it's from our community, not somebody else's. So financially, you're spending $45,000 already over the past 3 years. You've already expended it. Renting somebody else's equipment. If you do 45,000 times the cost of the stage, you're talking about within a 5-year period, it's paid for, and we own it, and we don't have to go ask anybody for anything. We have our own, and we should have our own. So in the 97 plan, it clearly says we are to be doing events. Attorney, could you expound upon that? Because we've had this conversation today.
I'm not concerned about that.
Oh.
I'm concerned about the cost. Okay, my concern is, first of all, I think that's an overstatement that we do 15 events with a stage every year. Okay. My other concern, I like to finish what my point is. I'm looking at the depreciation. I'm looking at also the information that was provided at the cost of these stages. We're talking about a stage cost. Is this accurate? Like $750,000?
Even more. There's some stages cost over $1 million.
Okay, $750,000, and then we have another for like $200 and some odd thousand. So when you look at that overall, the cost of the upkeep, okay, the cost to pay for it, the insurance, labor costs, storage fees, where are you going to stage this thing?
Excuse me?
Where it's going to be staged? Where you want to house the event?
When it's not being used, are you speaking of when it's not?
Yes.
At the barn, at the public works, it's a trailer.
I understand.
It's a trailer that opens up, so nobody can go mess with it.
I just want to know where you're going to put it, okay, and the depreciation. Okay, now, most promoters have their own stage and they bring their own stage. Okay, I don't see a win-win for the town to buy a $750 stage.
So first of all, the stage does not cost 700 or something.
$50,000, that's what's in the packet.
No, what's being recommended to you is this document right here.
Which one? How much does that cost?
It is, the base price is 130, 130, 32 in the resolution, because the stage comes with accessories that is necessary to put on events. Extra step stage to get up and down, safety issues. Our own banner, our own skirts that's market our community. And all that stuff. It comes with a cost. That's why I provided you that, and I wanted you to see what it looks like.
Okay.
That's why I asked the board to allow up to no more than 175,000 to make sure we have all the things we need to have a functioning thing. And by the way, not only our use, people can rent that. The city of Orlando, and me talking to them, said almost out of 52 weeks in the year, that stage is rented 48 of them. They have tripled their money on buying the same exact stage. Same exact stage.
Okay, all right, I'll get back to that point. But where is the money gonna come from? On these
That's not from
line
the
items?
general fund or the trust fund account.
Where is that? On this
It's
page?
wherever this board decides is, and let's get away from this where in the line item stuff is. There's only two things, and I've said this over and over again. Restricted money, which is like grant money, which is restricted, and salaries. Those only things are restricted. That money is in the general fund. Those line items is just line items that say in the charter accounts, we charge things to. If this board decides to buy that state, it would be charged to the capital line item. And at the end of the year, you're gonna get a balanced budget on all the expenditures like you're supposed to. And that has not been happening, and I can understand the question, but you
Okay.
will.
So what,
And those budget
how much
amendments-
money is in the capital fund?
I'm not sure, right? I mean, you look
Okay,
at
so-
your March statement and it should tell you.
Oh, you can't, well, I don't see it, it's not on here. So what would I be, how would I base that on? It's not on, it's not inclusive. So we're not gonna be spending money on something that we do not have the information.
Listen,
And
listen,
that's the problem
listen,
that I have,
listen.
Mr. Johnson.
you, and rightfully so, you chose because the 330, whatever that number is not shown. And that's my problem with staff, and that will be addressed, okay? But understand, we have $1 million+ sitting in the bank. How this board, outside of restricted funds and salaries, choose to spend money, that's up to this board. That line item stuff is just line item stuff. It's all that money sits in one general fund account. And when I want to do something operational, I have to give them a code. This is the code. If this board passed this action, that code is going to be from your capital line item, not to reflect the immediate line item balance, but at the end of the year, it will reflect the balance of that line item. That's just, you operate the town budget that way every day. It's no different than what the town's already doing. So I'm not asking you to do something that's foreign. I'm asking you to just continue the practice you've been doing.
I
You don't
understand.
get those budget amendments from the town until the end of the year.
When it comes down to spending money, dollars and cents, this board here is accountable. We are accountable for every penny coming in and every penny going out. So we don't have the information to make an effective decision as to where the money is gonna come from, how much we have in the bank, how much we have on the capital improvements, capital funds or whatever. I mean, why even go through this? You know, you're giving me something over $100,000. We have no justification, nothing else to go by, but just some pieces of paper. And you want us to go along with this?
So
No,
I
in the
understand.
future, can we just have
that's not right.
the,
But is it, what,
Still got questions on the floor?
oh,
wait, hold on, is Director, Dan?
Yes, attorney, do we go by, the plan 97 or 2015?
97.
Cause I was looking, it doesn't. While I look, someone else can ask that question. So why do, why do we have 2015 then, if we go by 97?
2015 does not exist.
Yeah, so the 2015 plan, which if I recall correctly, Tom Kohler was the acting CRA director at the time. He began putting together a plan because of the outdated, or the antiquated 1997 plan, but he never went, or I'm not gonna say, the process of having that 2015 plan was never approved, and so it never went to the county, it was never approved by this board. And so the 1997 plan is still what is in effect today.
Right, and I still would go by and then I'm gonna be done. Slum and blight, this stage is not get rid of slum and blight to me, and I won't be in favor of it. And I use my time.
Okay, if let me go ahead and just state a few things. Now, I'm definitely in favor of the stage, but not for the amount that we're trying to purchase it for. And the reason I say that is because I heard a citizen get up here on the podium and stated, about some grant money that we're gonna be possibly getting that I know of, that could possibly build an amphitheater. Now, I know you said it's gonna take 5 years to particularly, take care of this, particular, stage that we're trying to get. Now, me just sitting here estimating, and I ain't an accountant, but I know we have MLK, and you said it's about roughly $1,000 to, have this particular stage, so we're talking about $1,000. And then, let's just go ahead and say, for the sake of just adding all our town, events, Founder's Day, which is 2. So that's another $1,000. And then and for the sake of it, I go ahead and throw the Stokey event in there, which is provided by Director Washington. Right, so that's 4. So that's $4,000. And then I go ahead and throw Juneteenth. That's $7,000 in a year. Now we talking about spending $132,000 in 5 years. In the 5-year frame, right? Our anticipation is to have the amphitheater by grant money that we're gonna be getting, right?
I don't wanna confuse what Ms. Monday has proposed.
Right.
It's not what you are thinking. It is more of a little shelter. It is not an amphitheater cannot fit in Calhoun Park.
Until I see
And that's what that funding is allowed for.
Now, I know we spoke about an amphitheater, which would be great in this community. Now, I'll be willing to get an amphitheater versus a stage that's gonna cost $132,000 versus $7,000. And you gotta think, I ain't even talking about, other events besides, town events, which would be only $2,000. You know what I'm saying? So mathematically, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not in favor of this. I'm an advocate of trying to get a stage, but not for the significant amount of money that we're gonna have to pay to get it. So I'm definitely gonna be a hard no on this particular item right here. Now, if we can move forward, probably getting something cheaper, perhaps, that's gonna make more sense for the, citizens with the, everything that's gonna be possibly going on with the amphitheater. I don't know how the amphitheater is gonna look. I don't think anybody else here know how it's gonna look. Until that happens, then I'd be eager to move forward with possibly getting this particular stage that we're willing to get, and hopefully at a lesser price than what we're anticipating on getting that anyway. But you gotta it's like apples and oranges. You got $132,000 versus $7,000, and that gonna take us 5 years to pay for, which we're gonna be paying $7,000 annually for the stage. And if you do that times 5. That's only $35,000. You know what I'm saying? That's a large percentage of what we're gonna be saving. So we gotta think about that mathematically and put everything together and puzzle it together and be like, okay, it makes sense to not get the stage because it's gonna cost for one over $100-some thousand, $132 particularly, right? To be exact, 132 plus.
As is presented without the accessories.
Right, but that's gonna take us 5 years to do versus, and maybe we can come to a better situation within the 5 years. And I think we need to consider just continue renting the stage that we've been renting for the feasible price that we've been renting on that, which is $1,000. And if they can't rent it to us for a lesser price than that, maybe we need to shop around. I think that's something that we need to probably take into consideration too. Shop around. It ain't the only network that we can do. That ain't the only source that we got. We got other sources, right?
Yes,
There's other sources that we got besides, spending this amount of money. So I'm definitely in favor of getting the stage, but not for the amount of money that we're trying to spend on it, which is $132,000 within a 5-year plan, paying for.
I can appreciate what you're saying, but when you talk about an amphitheater, you're talking about over $1 million. I just want.
But that's gonna be with grant money, though. That's gonna be with grant money. Listen.
How are you gonna maintain?
We hire more staff.
Let me go to Director.
But I'm not finished.
Oh.
Not finished. Now, with us moving forward, right? And you gotta be a visionary, right? You gotta have a vision. You know what I'm saying? So are we gonna sit here and sit on our hands and get to a point of not having anything? We're not possibly wanting to have an amphitheater. We're not possibly wanting to have a gas station in this community. We're possibly not wanting to have are we that shallow-minded to think that we're not gonna have these things? I'm thinking outside the box. I'm thinking amphitheater. You gotta claim it, right? So I'm claiming an amphitheater. Whether it costs $1 million, who says it's gonna cost $1 million? I don't know. That's a projected price, possibly, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? So I think we definitely don't need to put the cart before the horse when we're tackling stuff like this right here. Especially with this amount of money that we're talking about spending. And like I indicated not too long ago, it's a hard no for me until we can come up with a better reference on how we're gonna come up with some different numbers other than what we came up with thus far with $132,000 within a 5-year period. So if we can come up with some different numbers, I'd definitely be in favor of it. But like I said though, like I say all the time, I'm only one vote. Now if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, I'm not. It's not on my clock. I'm not approving it. So I think we all need to be mindful of the amount of money that it's going to cost us with getting this particular stage right here. And like I said, I'm not opposed to not getting a stage because I think it's needed. You know what I'm saying? Especially not having an amphitheater over here. But if it's going to cost us only $7,000 annually, and like I said, do the math, $7,000 plus 5 years, that's only $35,000. You know what I'm saying? And we could possibly have something even before that. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to really consider the time frame of the 5-year span. You know what I'm saying? I know you're talking about $132,000, but I think if we can just keep it at what it is now by just renovating it for $1,000, or even seeing if they can give us some deals. And that's all I got.
All right, Quentin.
Director Johnson, I think the part of the plan that you're referencing is on page 21. Under goal number 3, attract and accommodating businesses, where it talks about events. I'm not sure, that would be a question for legal, how it fits into any new legislature or whatever the case is, but in case anybody was interested. In the 97 plan on page 21, I believe Administrator Washington sent that to us July 15th, 2023, where it talks about things like the Zora and hosting events to essentially, like Director Washington says all the time, bring people to the town of Eatonville. And that's an unbiased statement, just pointing to the facts. Additionally, I did have a question about where the storage would be, so thank you for noting that Public Works would be housing that if we decided to go forward with that. I hear the dollar amount 1,000 being thrown around, but I'm assuming that if we do purchase this, we can rent it out for whatever we want to rent it out for. Okay, and then additionally, I'm assuming that we might make some incentives for locals to come and rent the stage out if need be, maybe at a discount or something like that, something that we could work out with the community.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd also like to speak to the number of events that are hosted in the town of Eatonville. In the last 2 years, it's been busier than I can ever remember it being. Well, I won't say ever, but it's been busier than it's been in a long time. I know we think about the typical all the time, the Zora, the MLK, Founders Day, Juneteenth is new on the scene. We've even recently had Eatonville natives that have come and talked about wanting to do things in the town that would require the use of a stage. I know I personally assist with the Juneteenth committee, and we were literally just having a conversation about a stage. And I'd also like to say that when I saw the footage for Dukes and Boots, the Stogies at Sunset event, I did see the city of Orlando biggest day on the side of that. And I would have rather have seen town of Eatonville. Now, could that have just been a banner that we could have covered it up with? Probably, but you know, I'm definitely in favor of the stage. I won't necessarily say I like the price, but I'm kind of cheap. I don't like to spend money at all. So I mean, I think if that's an area that we can continue to dig into, then I'm in favor of that. But I just kind of wanted to throw some of that stuff out for for some clarity, the plan as well as the types and the number of events. And then again, if this is part of our plan to attract and accommodate new business, then I don't see how it's not a worthy investment. Even if we could spend a little bit less on it, that's it.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, I did look at some other stages. Smaller than that, there was 1,200, 1,250, 13. They were smaller than that. They had no lighting. They had no generator to go with it. And yeah, they're out there. Other companies out there have larger rental fees. But one thing we missed, what Mr. Johnson said was, City of Orlando, out of 52 weeks of the year, their stays are rented in the 40-something range. We can do the same thing. We can outsource it to and rent it out to other people that want to use it. It's for rent, like I said. It's for rent. So up to 15 events, it could be more than that. We can rent the stage. I did talk to Ms. Shan when she was here about the stage. That's one of the things I said the town need to have amenities that we don't have nothing of. What are the amenities that we can provide to the citizens when they want to do anything? Well, Christmas on Boulevard. Nobody said nothing about that one. So that's another event we use City Orlando stage on. So my thing is, we had it in our present, and like I said, rent it to whoever at what price. We don't have to say 1080 because they rent out for 1180. They give you a deposit back of $100. So my thing is, we make the number what we want to rent it out for. Not saying go high, but let's have something the time because we don't have anything to give a person that want to do it again. So I'd rather us have it in our presence than not have it. So I definitely support this. Like I said, me and Ms. Sharon talked about this when she was here, and that's something she was trying to, get on the agenda, but I guess it never happened. So, like I said, when Mr. Johnson came in, I did mention him too about doing it. So it's in front of us now. We can go forward or not, because that's what funds are used for. I don't know how many years CRA funds just sit there and we don't send it back, but just sit in CRA fund. So we can use it. Let's use it. That's all.
Director Davis.
Attorney, which goal out of the 97, and Director Creighton, are you saying it's goal 3 that justifies this?
To me, I don't have a Juris Doctorate, but that's why I looped in. But page 21, if you're looking at that one.
Yeah, 21.
Goal number
goal
3.
3.
In attract new business.
And accommodate the
Attract and
market.
accommodate.
Right, and so we read the same thing, right?
Under
Market.
the events subsection, just before the page break.
Right. Presently, the town of Eatonville celebrates SORA. And, 4-day cultural event features with visual, written, performing arts, and is widely attended, including 70,000 out of region visitors who come to the area and spend over, is that 1 million in Metro Orlando area. This event can be promoted and made the cornerstone of the community events, like Winter Park. And but the dollars, that's what I'm saying, the CRA dollars. That's where I had a problem, because someone needs to ask a question. That stage, is it purchased by the City of Orlando CRA, or is it purchased by the City of Orlando? Just same as Historic Town of Eatonville can do. We can purchase it from the town side and market it out and make money. I agree with all of that, but it has to be from the taxpayers' money, not the CRA money, because it should be eliminating slum and blight. And that's why I need to sit down and talk to the attorney, because it's all about your interpretation of this. Because, you see market analysis, you're saying that, and just like the 2015, it's like the CRAs pay for literature to go out on social media, handing out, flyers to promote Eatonville instead of putting the money, into those events. And this event right here on 21, to me, doesn't say CRA money, CRA dollars should be used to promote the events. And that's just me and my interpretation. That's why I'll have to sit down with the attorney. And I don't see how this stage, with using CRA dollars, can promote the town of Eatonville. The town of Eatonville itself come up with the 50,000, let's make it happen. But for me, on the CRA side, it doesn't eliminate slum and blight to me.
One question, attorney, can a CRA make purchases like this?
So, so full disclosure, this question has been asked to me, and I did provide my preliminary interpretation to Board Member Daniels, along with, Attorney Shepherd was a part of the email as well. My reading of the plan, however, Board Member Critton, was actually from goal number 1, as opposed to goal number 3. And under goal number 1, it talks about development guidelines for Eatonville's proposed theme redevelopment. And what I said was, it's all up to the interpretation of this board, and what it is that this board feels fits into the plan. And under goal number 1, it says, and what I actually said is that it can be interpreted to support the purchase of equipment to promote cultural tourism, which is the goal outlined in the current plan, the 1997 plan. The plan states that this will create a clearly defined identity for the district that is meaningful and attractive enough to become a destination for visitors to the Orlando tourist destination magnet wishing to experience the historic awareness and cultural aspects of the first incorporated Black community. I go on to state that this section goes on to state, entertainment district theme developers can receive economic assistance with facades, parking, landscaping, enhancement of pedestrian sites, site furniture and fixtures, which a stage, a movable stage will be considered what they call chattel or a fixture, etc. So within the plan, it states that, but then I also went to, because there was a previous opinion that was given by the town attorney, I believe, when he was sitting here. And part of what he said is that chapter 163.387, if I recall correctly, outlines the change in the statute where it took, up to and including to make it more restrictive as to what CRA funds could be used for. Now, within that particular section, it talks about for affordable housing as well as for police and innovation. If you can find where this fits into those categories, then yes, you can use it for those purposes. However, it also points us back to 163.37 of the Florida statutes. If you look at 163.387, it points you back to 163.37. And within 163.37 in this is going to be subparagraph 2, C1. And what it says in that, and this is interesting to me, and this is why it's interesting, it says that the CRA can use funds for the acquisition of property for the slum area or blighted area by purchase, lease, option, gift, grant, bequest, devise, or other voluntary method acquisition. That's important to me when it talks about property because it doesn't say real property. Now, in other portions of it, and that's why it's of interest to me, because if you don't put that distinction or that tag of real property, then you're talking about tangible property or other property such as a fixture. Now, if you go into this particular section, it talks about acquisition by purchase, lease, option, gift, grant, bequest, devise, or other voluntary methods of acquisition of real property, which is the section, and that is number 6. I will say this. I can take any part of this statute, and I can tell you can do something, and I can tell you can't do something. It's all up to the interpretation of this board and what you understand this to mean. In my mind, when you talk about the acquisition of property in the slum area, blighted area by purchase, lease, option, gift, grant, bequest, devise, or other voluntary method of acquisition, and you pair that with the portion of the plan that I mentioned, goal number 1, this board can interpret that to mean that it can't purchase it. Or this board can say, we're not accepting it. That's my interpretation. I know it's a long answer, but it took me, I had to go into this because I know that there is a somewhat may seem to be a conflicting opinion between myself and the town attorney on what the CRA can do, which is why it's important to have 2 separate ones. And like I said, I can look at anything in this section, in this statute, and tell you you can't do something, and I can look at anything in this statute and tell you that you can't do something. It's up to interpretation. My interpretation is, if you read it the way that I've read it, the acquisition of property, and it doesn't limit you to real property. It just says property being a fixture or chattel would fit within that category, but this board doesn't have to accept that.
Because I'm gonna say it, Tony, just me personally. You say property, I'm thinking real property. Was anybody going to go? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's something that the town needs to put in our inventory to have, all the time put in our inventory to have something, this type of amenities to provide for the city of Eatonville. That's my record.
Before we do it, or take this vote, can we see how many CRAs have purchased stages? I keep saying it doesn't fit the slum and blight. And even with the attorney saying the properties break down, it breaks it down in here, streetscape, pedestrian functions with downtown core. that's in the plan in goal one. So it breaks down the things that, you know, the money can be used for, you know, and I just don't see it as a stage, but hey, we're not gonna prolong this time.
Yes.
And y'all can tell me as elected officials if this is not something you can address. Is it possible to find out if the town can do it?
We should, yeah, we can. We found the money.
We got to take it out.
Yeah, we found the money. We can do
The silence is so loud
I
right
think
now.
our budget is coming.
And that's why I'm asking. I mean, y'all would know better than me, but I mean, since the real issue seems to be the dollars. And Director Daniel, I do, I equally, I don't mean to disagree, but, I'm down in section 3. And I feel justified in my interpretation, you know, based off section 3.
Okay.
I know that the CRA is not limited to slum and blight, that we, you know, have a little leeway with what we can and cannot do. Not that I'm trying to make room for anything, but I just know that we're not restricted to affordable housing. So I'm in favor of it, but if it's not this board's wish to either spend that dollar amount, or if it's not this board's wish to take that on, then I'm not opposed to that either. If we can find a happy medium, I think it's a beautiful investment. As a young person in this, I know all of y'all are young, as a young person in this community, I have seen what I feel like was a heyday. I've seen the desert, and I've seen what looks like revitalization, what looks like our entertainment coming back to life. Let's not pretend like, and in no way am I saying this is a party city, because that keeps coming up both in here and out of here. However, let's not pretend like Eatonville has not been known for its entertainment. And whether that's a CRA conversation or a town council conversation, I'm not willing to debate that tonight, but I see how it fits. I'm in favor of it. I don't really like the dollar amount, but I'm in favor of the stage. And so if it's something that can be done on another side, I'm willing to yield to let it be done another way to make all hearts and minds satisfied. But again, up to this board.
And like I said, I'm not against it. I'm definitely, you know, eager to get something of this nature. But I think it definitely need to make sense mathematically, you know what I'm saying? The price that they're asking for versus what I just spit it out. And the Christmas on the Boulevard, which is $8,000 annually, versus the $132,000 within a 5-year plan. And, you know, possibly getting the amphitheater, possibly. I don't know how that looks, but, you know, possibly. I know we're, you know, looking forward to doing something. We're getting grant money to possibly be able to do that. But however that looks, man, I think we need to vote our conviction on it, table this item and look for something least expensive, or you know, however you guys want to do it, you know, but I'm definitely not in favor of this because of the prices that are associated with it. But like I said, I'm only one vote.
Just for the record, the price is up to 175, not 700. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Right, it caps the limit in which we can go, and that's only because off and the accessories that come.
Vice Chair.
But no, no, with that, that's all I have. I don't want to.
There's a motion on the floor. It has been moved and seconded, right? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
All right. The only thing that I ask sometimes, like big cities like Orlando, or they maybe have one, they don't use that much, maybe they'll sell it. The last thing is the proposal to sell property located at 426 East Kennedy Boulevard from David Barani.
There is no resolution.
The resolution.
There's no resolution. Well, Mr. Barney can come up. I will to the term.
Good evening.
Hold up, Mr. Barney. Let me go ahead. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Really, very sad sitting back here and seeing friendships being broken. I almost had a breakthrough in friendship category with Mr. Johnson, but Mr. Rafford stated that Mr. Johnson wants to see me hang by the wall. So
Please
Everything
don't
that
say name,
happened-
just say, you have to say, let's go.
Record, stated on record here at this meeting, that Mr. Johnson wanted to see me handled by the town hall. So ever since I walk in here, every single time I come feel fun. That's not why we're here today. The reason why we're here today is because I'm hoping to put some data on record. And what I mean by data, I sent you emails, you have emails, and I have plenty of records to show what I'm about to tell you. And not a secret, I'm very angry right now because I spent 7 years in your town and I never really asked you anything. And the situationship that I have with Mr. Johnson and the CRA is very, very exotic. It started many, many years ago when I owned the laundromat, and the CRA shorted me with $3,000 of grant money that you all voted for, and you probably don't even remember. That all happened with Mr. Johnson, and he did that because I didn't put a $50 plastic board into the fully rehab sign. That's when our relationship started. Many years passed by. Mr. Benderson stated me that in order for me to rehab the club, I needed 4,000 parking spaces. So I was fed lies after lies, got no help. I spent 7 years in your town, and there is absolutely zero progress. So one day, Mr. Johnson called me and asked me if I'd be interested in a $1 million grant. Obviously, it was very hard to say no to that. So, we started talking, and basically he required me a $70,000 admin fee to be paid to the CRA, and don't tell me I'm lying. So that kind of hit me in the head. I started talking with people. Some of the individuals I call friends, they felt like there was a bit of a conflict of interest there. So after that, Mr. Johnson, don't be smiling. After that, Mr. Johnson find out that he was about to get fired from the CRA. So last minute, he asked me if I could make the check out to him, not to the CRA. Also, he found out that admin costs cannot be considered as, it was not accepted by the, yeah, you can laugh.
Please finish what you want.
So anyways, long story short, that was the cost of the white man to be doing business. There's nothing new about it. That was the cost of me doing business in Eatonville. What did I do? I had very mixed feelings. I requested a private meeting with the mayor, and I sat down with you, and I was asking you if there's any conflict of interest. I asked you if it's okay for me to pay $70,000 consultation fee to Mr. Johnson's nonprofit, and you said it's okay. So
Wait, who's in the room with us?
I'm sorry,
Who's in the room with us?
no one.
Yes, Mr. Presley, because I
Okay.
wouldn't meet with you without it,
Okay.
and that's not what I
Then we
said.
have a witness. I'm very happy.
I
about
said
that.
if it was on his, we can have nothing to do
He
with
was
what people do on their
Okay.
own time.
okay.
You cannot sit there
Okay.
and not say it correctly.
Then we have a witness. I'm very happy about that. But it was sanctioned. That payment was sanctioned because I would have never made a payment. Bottom line, Mr. Johnson was the director of the CRA when he started working on this. And to make the long story short, it's very hard to make it short, and I know it's 9:30, and thank you for letting me talk at 9:30. So long story short, I have a letter of concurrence which clearly refers to my nonprofit as the applicant. This nonsense should have never happened. He's a control freak. He's keeping this grant a hostage.
Right, but no, I don't mean to
documents.
stop you. What is your request for the board? We really need to get
You
to that.
need to get the context, and you've been talking long enough, so I'm asking you to let me talk right now, okay?
But
I hope you
you're,
can do that.
sir, you are,
You need to understand what I went through
no, sir,
with this.
no,
I
sir.
don't need to understand.
Mr. Barani, I'm sure that the story you're telling, you
Right,
have told everybody
Okay.
independently, even part of it
right.
is not the story you told me earlier. But let me say this, you are here for this item.
Yes, and
I'm
I
asking
care
you
about how
to
it's presented.
get to your request.
I care about how it's presented because I never wanted it to come to this point, okay? This was never supposed to be a CRA
Get your
applicant
request.
project.
Get your
okay?
request.
I have documents. My request is that you let it sit, your incompetence that you've been practicing for the last 2.5 years of not showing any progress. I invested
Wait,
$70,000.
stop.
Man, don't waste my time with this cat.
Stop.
Yes, why?
Either you're gonna show respect
You
for
can sit down.
everyone
I'm
up here.
saying, am I
You
not
can sit
showing
down. You can
respect?
sit down for me.
What
You can sit
part of
down.
it is not, I'm stating the
You're-
fact.
You can sit down.
Incompetence is an opinionated word.
My apologies.
So tell me
My apologies.
what your request is,
Okay,
Mr. Barone.
I tell you. I got a green light to do a partial demo after you waited for 2 years, letting my building to be deteriorating. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your attorney will decide whether you have a little bit of legal exposure there or not, okay? You let it sit with no with zero progress, okay? I believe someone is doing that purposely. You might not have, it's for you to decide. I'm out of $5,000. I got an email clearly allowing me to do that, sanctioned by Tallahassee, that was done by Ms. Rose. CRA, I'm not accusing Mr. Johnson with that. There's a serious chain of events that caused me damages. And I came to the conclusion that you don't want to see this project happen, or you just the dislike towards me is so strong that you just decided not to do it. None of you raised your eyebrows last time when Miss Wanda asked Mr. Johnson what's going on with the club, and Mr. Johnson said, "Oh, we're waiting for some engineers to see if we're gonna move the grant to a different site." None of you even raised an eyebrow or asked anything. I've been dealing with this for 7 years. I invested $70,000, total bullshit money. Sorry for my English. I invested in this grant. It was supposed to be mine. Now, last minute, it got switched to CRA, and it's total nonsense, and he's locking me out. It's my building. I have zero say
What
so.
is your request, Mr. Barone?
You need to buy this thing from me. That's what you need to do. If you choose to. If not, then we need to end this charade, and then I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do with my building. That's all I'm saying. You can vote on it or not. I'm available, and yes, I'm emotional because I've been here for 7 years. I wasted 7 years of my time. And as one black man said, I had a dream. And I was this deep in your community pool with my guys, costing me thousands of dollars. No one asked me for it, right? And you couldn't pay for a $2,500 pool pump. No one can question my love for this town and my plans or my intentions, because I've done a lot for this town. And I believe that allows me to state some facts. And these are the facts I'm stating. Right.
Question. So you're requesting that we purchase it for $250,000?
Yeah, I would like to propose.
Okay.
And I sent this to you in your email. It's real estate, so it's not very complicated, but I had an idea based on the way how you're operating.
Okay.
It is impossible for me to work with.
What's your
Mr.
proposal
Johnson.
now?
Okay, my proposal is buy it if you want it. I don't care what kind of
For how
font you use. It's $1 million. I'm not selling the grant. It's stated in your email. It's $100 a square foot for a shell. I had a building before you flooded it. I sent you some videos. The town flooded it. Don't pretend you don't know anything.
The town flooded? I'm trying to understand.
Wait,
You'll
we're gonna-
see it.
you have to go ahead and finish,
I didn't
so we
get one
move on.
apology for that, by the way. I did not get one single apology. The town flooded my building, okay? And then he's stretching things out. The only thing that got accomplished, the only improvement that happened was what we did with Mr. Malcolm Jones, and then what Miss Wanda organized, the gathering for the town, which was very highly attended until NY walked in and ruined the whole thing. But it bothers me that for many, many years, you didn't even know that the building was not historic. Now Mr. Johnson came back, he uses the information to try to do something with it, but none of them is favorable to anyone, including me. Okay, he's either trying to
Wait,
move the
stop.
grant. Yes.
Right
Are you
now.
confused right now?
No, I'm not,
So
but this
ask me
has to be
anything
cut
you
off.
want.
You asked $1 million.
Too late.
You asked for $1 million.
Yes, I have bias.
That's not a decision
Okay?
we're gonna make tonight,
I know.
but we've heard it.
I'm proposing, I don't care, I work with you, I could sell it to King. Okay, by the way, I had this building,
But we have to cut it off.
okay,
You gotta say it, and
well,
that's
you
gonna be
need to
it.
let me state the fact that I had this building with Mr. Johnson King on contract for $1.5 million, okay? And then he was the real estate agent, his cut would have been over $60,000 commission, okay? The two of them, yes, used to be friends, they wanted to buy.
Wait,
He's
but-
very,
but-
very
But we're
motivated.
not here for Peyton Place. If
I
you were,
know.
wait, if you were a part of all of that,
Right.
you,
Well,
you can't now come and say what was happening, but you're in the middle of it.
I wanted you to understand and
But
have all the
there,
pieces
but
in
it is
order for
not
me to
going
make an
to,
intelligent
it is
choice.
not going to negate the fact that you want $1 million for a building.
If you wanna buy it, if not,
Okay, then
then
that-
let me know and don't play games with me, that's all I'm saying.
But that's not something we're gonna discuss or
I
even
hope
decide
not.
tonight.
I hope not.
So,
I wanted to put it on the table,
okay,
the structure of the deal is in your mailbox. I sent it a few hours ago, few hours before the event.
We all have
It's
that
not
letter.
that complicated.
we all have that
I
letter.
sent
Thank
you a
you.
video of that flooding situation.
But we have to
And
stop.
I feel like I'm being starved out, and he tried to negotiate
have to
ridiculous numbers with me last time we had the meeting.
All right.
And when I
And
stated that there's a
four,
legal exposure here, he says he didn't care because
Thank
the
you, Mr.
insurance
Ryan.
company of the CRA.
Thank you.
So I'm very highly disgusted, I want you to correct
Mr. Ryan.
to
Thank
make up your mind.
Thank
Good night
you.
to you.
Don't leave yet.
Why?
Oh, we gonna talk about him? I mean, none to him?
What did you say?
Oh, go ahead, keep going.
I apologize for raising my voice, I'm just emotional about it.
They have a question.
I just. Go ahead, you go ahead.
Okay, wait, before you have a question, I'm sorry, y'all.
He-
Yeah,
It is,
you talked about
it is-
unimportant things for a whole
Sir,
year,
I am
and then you're cutting
speaking.
me off.
Sir, I am
We
speaking.
just.
It almost sounds
You-
racism to me, to be honest.
You're
with
getting
you.
ready to have all the time
Seriously.
you want.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. I must go. I must go. I must go.
You talked about a trailer for an
I must
hour,
go.
you
We
talked
have-
about these properties for another hour.
Would you like to
put
be
me
removed?
sleep. I've been
Would you
trying
like
for
to
it.
be removed?
No, I don't.
Please leave the lectern. Thank you. Either we leave right now, or I got to go. Do you have any, there are reports? Do you have a report? Any reports? All right. I move for adjournment. Is there a second? Moved and second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? It is 9. I've got it.
Oh. Phil is not gonna leave, I agree.
I like that.
He's not gonna be there.